Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
I'm Sam Schultz, the show where two friends have vowed to watch all the Muppet Babies episodes forever. This is a Muppet Baby podcast, Matt.
Well, yeah, for now, we are 68% of the way through all of Muppet Babies
I'm
now.
back to mad about this
I
number.
know.
I
when
think
you heard
last time
62, you were
yeah.
good. Last episode was like 65 and you were mad. And now it's 68 and you're still mad.
That's you got to be a little mad too. That's disgusting. 65 to 68 is not enough of numbers.
Yeah.
Every episode should be 10%.
Well, think about that for a second. That would just mean there's 10 episodes of Muppet Babies total.
Then we'd be done, or I'd be dead in the ground. I don't know.
But
which one.
the problem is it's exactly the opposite, where it's actually just over 100 episodes. So each episode is a little under 1%.
Matt.
But Sam, next time, probably maybe the time after that. No, definitely next time. We talk about Muppet Babies. You know what's going to hit real good? Being in the 70 percentiles.
No, it's not, because then the next time will be 73.
Don't think about the next time. Think about just hearing.
Okay.
We're 70% of the way
done.
through Muppet Babies.
I don't think I'm going to be excited until we're 90% of the way done with Muppet Babies.
No. See, I don't know if I might be in a different camp than you then, because I feel like if we're at 90%, I'm really just going to want to marathon the rest of them. Because I'm like, we're so close. We need to be done.
That's true, but we could do like Muppet Baby Watch. We could do like a doomsday clock that's like 3 minutes till no more Muppet Babies.
Oh, I feel like we have to throw some sort of celebratory commitment party when we hit the end of Muppet Babies, because neither of us realized what sort of endeavor this would be for us. I think when we took on Muppet Babies,
the pictures of that party would be like Kirk Cameron's birthday. That one, and that, you know, those pictures. Is just him with like a submarine sandwich alone?
I wasn't necessarily picturing an in-person real party where we invite friends. I was picturing more of like a Discord, for a patron kind of live stream party.
Oh, we could do that.
Yeah,
we have friends online.
Yeah. But yes, we are here to wrap up another season of Muppet Babies this week. We do have 3 more seasons to go, but today we finish up season 5. And the nice thing about finishing up a season is that it means we'll have a nice big gap here for a while where we won't have to discuss any Muppet Babies.
I'm fact checking you. You actually don't have another Muppet Babies filled in yet. So,
because
there's this big red parental leave banner partway through.
Yeah, not only is there a big, gap between this and season 6 of Muppet Babies in our schedule, because they're just, the Jim Henson Hour happens. We get an actual new show between now and the next season. But also, not that far in the future from right now, I'll be going on some sort of parental leave for this podcast for a little period of time. And during that, we're going to take a few weeks off, probably. Don't know the timeline of that yet. But we'll also probably, when we come back, have some abnormal episodes of Commitment where maybe it's a little bit more relaxed. We're talking to some people about Muppet fandom as opposed to diving right back in and trying to, watch 2 hours of content and record 3 hours of podcast every single week, because that might be hard with a newborn. So I have been told. There is a chance that, I have no problem with Sam, you doing episodes with other people or by yourself while
I'm running
gone,
the place
so.
now. There's going to be a few changes around here. No more Muppets.
We are here to discuss the last 4 episodes of Muppet Babies from season 5, called Plan 8 from Outer Space, Junkyard Muppets, The Air Conditioner at the End of the Galaxy, and Bug Busting Babies. But before we get into that, Sam, I did the thing that I always forget to do until I don't, and then I'm like, shit, I should do this more often, which is revisit Brian J. Jones's biography of Jim Henson.
Right.
To play catch up on the era that we're in. So basically, this is my way of remembering that there are a lot of things Jim and the other Muppet performers are up to during the time we're talking about that we're not seeing, that doesn't come up in Jim's Red Book, that's just happening in the background. Deals are being ironed out, scripts are being written and thrown away. And yeah, it is important to revisit that book from time to time to get some perspective on this timeline. But yeah, one thing that was happening around this time, back, I think it actually started in 1987, was when they started working on the idea for the cheapest Muppet movie ever made, which was the one where Gonzo was going to blow the whole budget of the movie in the first scene, and then the movie would start to look cheaper and cheaper as the movie went on. This was apparently a time where Jim was fully set to try and make another Muppet movie for theaters. They were pitching around ideas. One pitch, they didn't say who it came from, but it included the idea of Miss Piggy getting pregnant in a movie.
Okay. I think I have an idea of who pitched that.
Well, it didn't go forward because mostly they started to lean into the idea for the Jim Henson Hour.
Man, can you imagine walking into a room of full grown adults and saying that? Anyway.
What if? I mean, Sam, think about it. You and I have probably said that 10 times on this podcast.
I know, but I would if I woke up and I was about to walk into a room of executives or whatever, to walk into Jim Henson's office and say, what if? Now hear me out.
Just picturing a Mad Men office but like in the 80s.
Yeah. Big piece of foam core. It's like Miss Piggy. And then you like take a piece of paper off and it's like her big pregnant belly is pregnant. And then everybody stands up and applauds. Like, I got 2 words for you, gentlemen. Pregnant Piggy. That's it. Walk out of the room.
This is a very niche question here, but which Mad Men character do you think would be most likely to pitch Pregnant Miss Piggy? I've got 2 that immediately spring to mind, and their presentations of this idea would be very different, but I think they could both be the ones to come into the room with the idea.
I think it's possible that Peggy could pitch it.
Oh, not one of my 2 that I was going to choose.
It's possible that Peggy could pitch it. And she would have a really different take on it.
Yeah.
Or, you know what? Actually, maybe Megan would have pitched it. This would have been like the one idea that Megan had that was really good, and she made like $1 billion off of it.
Right.
Instead of whatever it actually was. Kinsey, I think, could have pitched Miss Piggy.
Kinsey was one of my 2.
And I also think Harry.
I think Kinsey would be trying to pitch it in the same way Peggy would pitch it, but it would be very condescending.
But it would be like disgusting. Everybody would be like,
yes, we watch the birth from the point of view of the child pig as it extracts itself from her loins.
It's feminism, Don. You wouldn't understand. And then also, I think Harry would just have the idea.
That was my other one.
Yeah, a big television extravaganza where Miss Piggy is pregnant and then announces her pregnancy on television.
This was my other one. He would not have thought past the headline of just, what if Miss Piggy got pregnant? And they're like, what does that mean, Harry?
Problem. It's like, you figure it out. You know what? There's a better world where there was a lot more overlap between Batman and the Muppets.
Yeah, because, I wouldn't mind seeing Cooper consider this idea.
Yeah.
And have to talk it out with Roger of just like, well, now, hold on, Roger. Maybe there's some credibility to this idea.
I think Don would like it.
I think Don might let it happen.
Don would just do it. Yeah, he would do it. He wouldn't anything it. Anyway, so sorry to everybody in the world who hasn't watched Mad
I'm
Men.
not. Mad Men is one of those shows that I feel like I don't talk about outside of this podcast.
Yep. But I do think about it constantly.
Yeah, exactly. So this is my only outlet for my Mad Men thoughts without doing a Mad Men podcast.
You know what? We talk a lot about how we're so different and that we don't have a lot of overlapping interests. But honestly, that's when we've never really come out and said one of our biggest overlaps is that we both love Mad Men so much.
I think maybe it hasn't dawned on us because we don't talk about Mad Men without the context of the
Of
Muppets
it being
attached to it.
Muppets invading it, yeah.
We don't just talk about like our favorite episodes of Mad Men or
Yeah.
favorite moments from Mad Men. We only talk about what if the
Right.
Muppets and Mad Men.
Sure, and the unstated part of that is that we both know Mad Men so
Yes,
well.
we have
that
the
we can
vocabulary
do
of
it.
Mad Men
Yep,
to have those conversations.
that's right. You know what? I'm not sorry anymore. I take it back. It makes me happy.
I feel bad that there's probably at least one person out there who is like, I think I have to go watch Mad Men to understand commitment
It's
sometimes.
a great show. I remember when that show came out
Yeah.
and people were like, eventually it got. Anyway, we won't get into it. It's a great
Yeah, it's
show.
probably, yeah. But some other things that were happening that I learned, or at least learned more about from rereading parts of Brian J. Jones's biography, is that something that took up a lot of time was when they started to work on the Jim Henson Hour. Just a very ambitious schedule. After NBC had sort of said, like, hey, this storyteller ain't doing so great. What are we going to do about that? Jim and the team pivoted to the Jim Henson Hour. One thing that was in the book that
I thought
worried me
the storyteller was doing great.
critically, yes. I don't think
Oh.
it was getting the viewership that they wanted.
Okay.
One thing that worries me a little bit is reading about, I don't know if you remember a while back, we talked about the Jim Henson Hour and how Jim was pitching it. I think when we watched the pitch reel,
Yeah.
Jim was pitching it that like each week was going to have a pretty specific theme.
Right.
Like wildly ambitious.
A production nightmare, if you will.
Yes, where like 1 week was going to be another Emmett Otter, 1 week was going to be a Muppet show or whatever. The reason that changed was NBC pushing for creative changes. And it seems
okay.
like there was a lot of compromises that were having to happen during this development process. And the way the book talks about it has me a little worried that this idea we have in our heads that this is like the crystallization of everything Jim has loved and put together is maybe what Jim was hoping to make, but maybe not what he got to make.
Okay.
So,
But
again,
I mean, what he wanted
we'll
to make
see.
was crazy. So I think there is.
Yeah.
I can understand why they said, but what if you don't do that?
Yeah, I think hopefully it's just them pulling him back in a reasonable, you can't actually pull that off kind of way.
Right.
And not a, we hate your ideas, don't do them kind of way. The book around this time is also focusing a lot on Jim's age because he's around 52 at this time. And Jim was also concerned with his age after he turned 50. He started experiencing some minor health issues like aching feet and a hand tremor. Both things that sort of worried him about being a puppeteer into his 50s.
He's been on his feet a lot and using his hand.
Mm-hmm. But the book does go on to point out that around this time he was also dating a woman named Marianne, who was 19 years younger than him.
Okay.
And was getting him out to keep him active. And from Brian J. Jones's book's description, also keeping him active indoors.
What? Why? Why does it say that?
It alludes to it. It doesn't get very explicit, but it definitely alludes to it a couple of times.
Wow, Jim was fucking?
Well, okay.
I think that one of the unstated things about Jim is that he's been fucking the whole time. We don't talk about it, but it has been happening.
Yeah, that's why I had to read Brian J. Jones's book. I always forget in the background. But yeah, so, it is, I'm reading this book in the weirdest way. I forget about going back to revisit it for like 6 months. And I go, shit. Then I go back and I listen to the audiobook for like 15 minutes and I'm like, all right, all caught up.
Dating somebody 19 years younger than you also goes under the heading concerned about your age. So.
Oh, I mean, yes. The, I guess, silver lining of this is that, he's 52 dating a 33-year-old woman.
Yeah, that's fine.
This is Marianne Cleary, who I believe Jim would date until the end of his life, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
She had worked for Henson Associates before getting picked to be Jim's assistant in 1986.
Right. We've talked about her before.
I believe so, yeah, because we talked about Mira Vilamirovich, I believe is her name, which was Jim's old assistant, and talked about Marianne Cleary being one who became his assistant after her.
Right. And I've seen this picture of them on a boat or something like
Yeah, there's a
that.
very sweet photo of them somewhere in Europe, I assume.
Yeah.
But yeah, he and Jane, I think, officially separated in like '86 as well. I
Hmm.
think was when their like actual final like legal separation happened. And so then, yeah, I think Marianne and Jim dated from '86 until his death in 1990.
Cool. She probably read that book and was probably like, hey, wait a minute. Don't say that part.
Or maybe she was the source.
Oh, yeah. That could be too.
Maybe she was the one talking to Brian J. Jones and being
That's
like,
right.
oh, I got to tell you about this. Well, I think that's enough for now about Jim Henson's sexual exploits. It's time to ask you, Sam, what do we watch this week?
As alluded to, we watched a lot of Muppet Babies. First, we watched Plan 8 from Outer Space. We watched 4 because at the end of a season, we watched 4. They don't break down into nice even numbers ever.
Yeah, all the seasons have like weird, random, different numbers, which I'm sure to a TV exec made sense. But
Yeah.
to us, just usually means we have to watch an even number of episodes as opposed to our normal odd number of episodes we do per episode.
First, we watched Plan 8 from Outer Space, original air date November 12th, 1988. The babies are watching TV when a news report comes on about how Princess Diana can't find a nanny for her kids. Piggy declares that she could help the princess and imagines going to Windsor Palace with the other babies to meet with the princess and propose some nanny suggestions. But during their meeting, Diana divulges that there's more to the nanny shortage than meets the eye. Nannies are not just in short supply, they are in fact actively disappearing, and she wants the babies to investigate why. The babies find suspicious footprints outside of Nanny's house, like their nanny. They go to Nanny's house to try to find her, and they follow them to discover that aliens are abducting the world's nannies. The babies board the alien ship and discover why they are kidnapping these nannies. Their ships run on striped socks, which in this world, or at least in this imagination, all nannies wear striped socks that I guess are taking off their stinky nanny feet and throwing in their gas tanks. So the babies confront the aliens, ask them to free the nannies, and then bring the aliens to a sock store to buy some socks. And that is how the episode ends. Then we watched Junkyard Muppets, air date November 19th, 1988. The babies are playing and they end up making a big mess with all their toys. Nanny comes in and tells them that they better have it cleaned up by lunch or else. So they use the power of their imaginations, per usual, to imagine themselves as working at a flea market for some reason. Fozzie is searching the baby's imaginary flea market stalls feverishly because his teddy bear is lost in the huge mess of toys. In the real world, his teddy bear is lost. And Gonzo tells him that closet trolls, little creatures that live in closets and steal toys, probably took his bear. So Fozzie and Gonzo head into the closet to find the trolls, which they do, and they end up following that trail to the end where they end up in the lair of the boss troll who keeps all teddy bears that his underling trolls find for himself. They're trying to like figure out how to save the teddy bear when Skeeter busts into the lair on her backhoe. She scoops up the teddy and then she scoops up the boss troll, who turns out to be Rolf for some very complicated reason that I will talk about later, I'm sure. And then Nanny comes in to see if they've cleaned up their room, and somehow, against all odds, playing flea market and this troll game has helped them clean their room, and they get to live another day. Then we watched Air Conditioner at the End of the Galaxy, air date November 26th, 1988. The babies are playing Star Trek when all of a sudden they realize that it's super hot in the nursery. Nanny tells them that there's a heat wave and the air conditioner is broken, and instead of like taking them to the library or the mall or something till it's fixed, she tells them they just gotta hang tight in this super sweltering house for a little while it's getting fixed. The heat reminds Scooter of the movie African Queen, so he and Piggy take on the roles of Charlie and Rose, the main characters from that movie. They jump into a wagon and they start boating around the house, trying to find somewhere cool. In the course of time, they collect all the other babies in their boat, and then they hear about a really cool place from Gonzo, a nightclub run by Rolf in the style of Rick's American Cafe from Casablanca, which is in reality the pantry in the kitchen. So all the babies sit in the pantry for a while where it's nice and cool. Eventually, it gets too hot in there too, I guess, because there's just like 8 babies in there. At which point, they leave the pantry and find that the air conditioner has been fixed. Finally, we watched Bug Busting Babies, air date December 3rd, 1988. Scooter is playing his new computer game when Skeeter hits his computer with a beach ball, seemingly messing it up. The babies hear about computer bugs on the news for some reason and tell whatever. We'll talk about that in a second. It's like whoever wrote this also just like
Also just learned about
in the
some
background
things.
heard
Yeah.
a news report and got a couple things confused. But anyway, they tell Scooter that maybe his computer has a bug in it. So eventually this line of reasoning leads the babies to play Bug Busters, a Ghostbusters pastiche. And then during that, they go into Scooter's computer. They say Scooter's computer a lot in this, and it's like none of them. Somebody needs to say that rhymes in this show, or I'm not.
It'd be
gonna
Fozzie, and they'd be like, "Shut up, Fozzie. We don't care."
What if they were just like, no, it doesn't?
Not in this world. Rhyming works differently in our universe.
That'd be scary for Fozzie. And they find a bug. So in the computer world, they find a bug, a big bug, who's smashing stuff up. They capture it with their proton packs. Then in the real world, it's hard to write this stuff down sometimes because like
it
when you start to
unravels
write
in
it
front
down,
of you.
yeah, you're just like, wait, what the fuck?
That can't be what actually happened, right?
So in the real world, they have actually captured a real bug, not something mentioned at all in the episode previous. They just have a giant bug in a jar. And then Nanny comes in, says, that's not what a computer bug is, takes the bug away from them to bring outside. And then Scooter walks up and basically says he fixed his computer while they were playing the game. So he just fixed his computer off screen, basically.
He remembered that Control-Alt-Delete was an option.
Yeah. It just tickled me so much that he was like, while you guys were jackassing around, I actually just fixed it off screen.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was all the episodes of Muppet Babies we watched. I don't know why this one got me so bad. It was just like, they were all so stupid. Elsewhere in the world of pop culture, between November 12th and December 3rd, 1988, Mystery Science Theater premieres on KTMA TV in Minneapolis. That was the only big event I could find. But speaking of TV, the top primetime shows around now included Murder, She Wrote, Roseanne, The Cosby Show, Cheers, Golden Girls, and the Golden Girls spinoff, Empty Nest. Have you ever seen that show, Empty Nest?
Maybe an episode or two.
I've never seen it. I've only seen the backdoor pilot with Rita Moreno, who does not end up getting to be in the actual show. I think her
I'm
character
guessing
dies
there's
or
also
something.
another show on the air right now called Moonlighting, because there's a
Yeah,
whole
there's
homage
a
to
little
it.
show called Moonlighting, which wasn't one of the top shows because it was kind of a cult hit in its time. But yes, there is inexplicably a very long moonlighting scene in
Even
the
Animal gets exhausted by it. And it's
Yeah.
like, this, go bye-bye. This
in
sucks.
Bug Busting Babies, there is. And I wouldn't say it sucks. It made me watch a couple episodes of Moonlighting last night. And I was
Well,
like,
yeah, it made me
"Okay, good
wonder,
show."
you know, when it first was popping up, having not seen Moonlighting, I was like, what the hell's going on? This is clearly something that I
Yeah.
don't know. But I didn't enjoy that segment, but it did make me go, hey, I wish I knew more about Moonlighting.
Yeah. I like that segment. We'll talk about it in a second.
Yeah.
Because more importantly, in the world of movies, Ernest Saves Christmas is released into theaters, along with The Land Before Time, Oliver and Company, Scrooged, and The Naked Gun. So like a big, very 80s little period of time here. And some popular songs of this time include Kokomo by the Beach Boys, a song that I believe we'll be hearing again at least a couple times in our watch through. I think Kermit sings it at some point, right?
Yeah, we will see a Muppets music video for Kokomo.
Interesting. This song, for some reason, one of our local radio stations has started playing this song all the time. And every time I hear it, I think this song fucking sucks. It's so bad. I hate that song. And I love the Beach Boys. That song is so bad, though. I can get into more about that, but I won't. Okay, I will for a second. It is what the Beach Boys, it's like what you think the Beach Boys, when you think of the band the Beach Boys or hear the name, you're like, they must sing about being on the beach.
Yeah.
And they don't actually really sing about that much, at least back in the day. They sing about surfing, but there's just something like so sad about the Beach Boys in a good way. There's like a melancholy thing to them. But then by the time Kokomo rolls around, it's like the cartoon version of what you think the Beach Boys are with like, it just sucks. It's a bad song.
There's a good reason for this, Sam.
What is it?
Brian Wilson, good. Mike Love, bad.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously there is that. There is that.
Brian Wilson, good. All the good Beach Boys songs are Brian Wilson songs.
Yeah.
Mike Love took over and was like, I don't really know what's going on. What if we were more like a Jimmy Buffett song, but like distilled into the worst parts of it that people remember?
But how could he have been in the band so long and that was his takeaway from it? Because he's just bad?
I think he's just bad.
Other popular songs includes one that is really burned in my head because I saw it being performed by the chicken cheerleader from Chuck E. Cheese. You remember her?
Mm-hmm.
The Locomotion by Kylie Minogue. I
Yep.
feel like that song was everywhere when we were kids, right?
Yes. I don't know why, but
Me
yes.
neither. And then Red Red Wine by UB40. Just a bad song. Forever Young by Rod Stewart. And Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, definitely a different vibe than the rest of those.
That was a song I thought was way older than 1988.
Oh,
Welcome
no,
to
Guns N'
the
Roses
Jungle.
didn't like really break in until like 1987.
Huh. Anyway, that's it for culture.
Well, there's some other things going on in the world of the Muppets around this time. November 14th, 1988, Sesame Street characters will take over the Today Show, which we'll see the briefest glimpse of in our next episode. That same day, season 20 of Sesame Street will premiere, which we'll also be discussing in the next episode.
We're going to go into Sesame Street mode big time in the next few episodes, right?
Yes, we are. Then November 15th, 1988, Oscar would appear on CBS This Morning. Again, we're going to watch that in the next episode. But I got some notes from Jim's Red Book as well. So November 19th, 1988, Jim writes, Screen Witches in London, test with audiences, Pinewood, give notes to trim down. They were doing a bunch of test screenings for the witches, which will come out in 1990. Because too scary, too gross, too disgusting is what the kids were saying.
I mean, it's a pretty gross, scary, disgusting movie.
Yeah, and
so it was even more so at one point, eh?
Yeah, and they were trying to figure out if they wanted to have a happier ending or the true to the book, more melancholy ending. Audiences sort of unanimously were like, we'd like the happy ending, please, which made Roald Dahl quite upset. And he was already a quite upset man throughout the process of making that movie. But yeah, this is another test screening, which I think I'm about to mention. Even another test screening. In November 21st, Jim wrote, See Rough, Living with Dinosaurs. So, Living with Dinosaurs is a TV movie that will air first in the UK on December 30th, 1990. And at one point in the process of making it was reformatted because they wanted to make it an episode of the Jim Henson Hour. But it was going to be episode 11, I believe. And the show got canceled after 9 episodes.
Oh. Okay.
So it's sort of an unproduced, unreleased episode that is out there and you can find, but this didn't air as part of the Jim Henson Hour. It did air in the UK as just a TV movie, and then it would eventually air on Nickelodeon in 1993. But this is like a 53-minute made-for-TV movie. It was written by Anthony Minghella, who had written all the scripts for The Storyteller before. And yeah, looked interesting from what I saw. But it sort of has like maybe a Calvin and Hobbes vibe to it.
Right. It's like a boy with his stuffed toy dinosaur or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
November 24th, 1988, Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and the debut of the Big Bird balloon, which we will again talk about in our next episode.
Jim had to have thought of making a Calvin and Hobbes thing, huh?
I mean, it's never come up in any of the notes we've seen so far, so I don't know.
They could have pulled it off. If anybody could have, I feel like they could have.
Yeah, it would have been interesting, but I don't feel like that would have been allowed to happen.
Right. Yeah, right.
December 3rd, 1988, Screen Witches in LA, Granada Hills, needs work.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, another test screening, needs some more work. Something else that comes up in Brian J. Jones's biography, but also comes up here in Jim's Red Book. It says, along with the normal complications inherent in any film production, both Jim and Duncan Kenworthy spent some time in correspondence with various groups representing modern witches, like the Witches League for Public Awareness, as well as extensive correspondence with Roald Dahl himself. So yeah, this was a thing that I don't know how much they anticipated it being a problem, but did end up being a problem when they were making the witches, was real life witches
they
being
made
like,
the witches
hey,
mad.
Yeah, which you don't want to do, I imagine.
Yeah, we don't eat children.
I haven't turned anyone into a mouse at all. There's a very good quote in the Brian J. Jones biography that says, Jim tried to appease their concerns, but only got caught up arguing semantics over the terms black magic or evil witch with the head of the Witches League for Public Awareness. Finally, Jim simply pleaded for their patience. Quote, while I am not an advocate of any one religion, I feel close to many of the concepts of the Wicca way of thinking, he wrote. And for those
Cool.
reasons, I will try not to do anything that will harm any of you.
Okay. Well, then he
Which is-
made a movie about witches eating children.
Well, he was already in the process of making that movie, and there was only
Right.
so much he could do at that point.
Right. And I suppose probably, to be fair to him, the
Mhm.
biggest similarity was just the word witches.
Yeah, I think they just didn't want the negative connotations
Right.
of like making the public perception of witches even worse.
Right.
Which I don't
Wow.
necessarily think he didn't do that.
But
Probably.
yeah. Yeah.
Definitely a lot of late 80s kids being like, witches will eat me.
And they're
And you're telling
scary.
me Aunt Susie is a witch?
Yeah.
I'm not going to Aunt Susie's house.
Yeah, I ruined ants too.
All
I messed
ants.
it up for ants.
December 9th through the 11th, 1988, Jim writes VTR Sesame Street 20th. Last time with Joe Raposo, Ray Charles, Placido Domingo.
Last time with Joe Raposo?
Yeah, so this is interesting. And I don't know if it's a thing Jim would have gone back to write or if Joe Raposo was moving on to a different job or what this was. Because Joe Raposo dies in February of 1989. So he dies, a few months later. So maybe Jim went back into his journal and wrote in that this was the last time he worked with Joe.
Interesting.
But yeah, so this was supposed to be, I found out, a Sesame Street 20th anniversary special that was going to be a part of the Jim Henson Hour. Like they were going to use this
I
as
think you
one of the
mentioned
parts.
that last time, maybe.
Yeah. And it ultimately didn't end up being like an official part of the show, but it does come out as a 20th anniversary special. This is something we will discuss soon, potentially with a special guest. And it's going to be a very interesting one to talk about because the special is hosted by Bill Cosby.
Oh,
so
okay.
We're going to have to talk about Bill Cosby at least a little bit.
Look at him for a while.
For us, that's the more challenging part of having to watch him for a while. And if you're going to watch along with us, just know that Bill Cosby is the host of this thing. I have not seen it, so I don't know if he's in it for 5 minutes or 50 minutes. So just fair warning that Bill Cosby will be in this, and we will have to talk about him during the episode. And lastly, from Jim's Red Book this week, December 13th, Free to Be airs. This is a thing we've talked about a handful of times. It's Marlo Thomas's Free to Be a Family special, following up on her previous Free to Be You and Me special. This was a show meant to encourage connection between kids in the U.S. and kids in the USSR. According to Jim's Red Book, by means of a space bridge, i.e. satellite link.
Okay.
So yeah, we will see actually some of this in a couple of weeks. I think 2 or 3 weeks we'll be watching some clips from this and discussing it.
Sure.
But Jim taped his part in Moscow that August, accompanied by his daughter Heather, Kathy Mullen, who performs Miss Piggy in this bit, and Michael Frith.
Did he write just Space Bridge, or did he write Space Bridge, aka Satellite Link? Was this like...
So this wasn't written by Jim. This is editorializing. Okay. So I'm wondering if they say Space Bridge in the special.
Okay.
And what they're talking about is the satellite link.
That's a cool word for a satellite link. Maybe
yeah, well, this is the first...
this
is the first live entertainment television special produced jointly and in the U.S. and USSR.
Okay.
So this was a big deal. And maybe at the time... they hadn't done many satellite links, and so they're like, what do we call this?
Space Bridge.
Space Bridge is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, after they came back, they had to finish up some post-production, some extra voice recordings, obviously with Frank to dub over Miss Piggy's lines, and the show would eventually air in December. After this, apparently the Russian Ministry of Culture was planning for 40% budget cuts, and they were like, hey, we need to sell some of our airtime and make some money. So they needed a program that would attract consumers. They were interested in both the Dark Crystal and Labyrinth, But they were also interested in some educational programming, so they worked on a deal to get some Fraggle Rock on Russian TV.
Oh.
So in January 1989, Fraggle Rock became the first American television series to appear on Russian televisions.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And I love this line because, some correlation causation happening here. But
Okay.
by the end of the year, as the show's lessons of tolerance and understanding wafted through the airwaves, the Berlin Wall came down.
Hey, thanks, Jim.
You did it! Good job, Jim.
You got the Fraggles in there digging the wall up. Wow, that's beautiful. You know who their favorite character probably was? Red.
Yes, this red Fraggle. All Fraggles should be red Fraggles.
Wow, that's great. I bet Jim was so smugly satisfied by that.
Hey, Frank, you see that wall come down? Had a little bit to do with that.
Just carrying the newspaper around with him everywhere.
Oh, what's this? Oh, the Berlin Wall came down. What's this on the next page? Oh, the TV listings in Moscow.
Yeah, what? Taped together several newspapers to have the perfect newspaper for him to brag with.
You got a Russian TV guide taped to the front page.
Yeah.
But this is actually, aside from the Berlin Wall coming down, this is another big moment, Sam.
Okay.
We have reached the end of Jim's Red Book.
Oh, no.
This is
He
the last.
stopped.
Yeah. There's no clear reason on the internet why he stopped. But yeah, in the end of 1988, he just stops using his journal.
Man, you know what? I've been for years keeping in mind when the Berlin Wall fell so I could say it during my history thing, and I totally forgot.
Okay, I will give you some leeway here.
Uh-huh.
We obviously are in December 1988.
Yeah.
What I was just referencing.
Oh, it was 89. Okay.
Yes, later in 89, after Fraggle Rock had been on the air for a while. So don't worry, you didn't miss one of the biggest cultural touch points of all time.
But you have also just read the last, in 88 was when he stopped doing the Red Book, though.
Yes. 88 is when he references free-to-be airs, and within the editorial attached to that is when they talk about Fraggle Rock being on Russian TV.
Wow. Okay. So why'd he stop?
No one seems to know. Maybe he has another journal out there somewhere that nobody ever found, or maybe he just decided to stop. Maybe it filled up and he was like, I don't really feel like buying another one.
Wow. That seems so unlike him. And there was so much more stuff he was doing.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, there's so many things that have had added context thanks to this book existing, that we've gotten to learn. And unfortunately, we are done with Jim's Red Book.
Yeah. To not get any of his thoughts about like the Walt Disney negotiations and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rely more heavily on the Brian J. Jones biography as we go through the following years of Jim's life. And the very last, I promise, thing I am mentioning that was also happening at this time was December 14th, 1988. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels is released. It is directed by Frank Oz, and it is his second non-Muppet film after Little Shop of Horrors.
Okay.
And the next one after this will be What About Bob?
Which we've seen before.
Which we have discussed in the podcast. But this explains why Frank wasn't around to do the Russia thing and some other stuff this summer with the Muppets, because they started shooting this film in June of 1988, and they shot from June through August. I think we'll talk about this at some point on the podcast. I'm not sure when, I'm not sure how, I'm not sure if we all have a guest, what's happening, but I feel like we have to, having talked about Little Shop of Horrors and What About Bob, I think we need to talk about what else Frank was doing.
Gotta watch more Frank stuff. Yeah.
But this sadly did not make the top 10 grossing films of the year, which were Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Coming to America, Good Morning Vietnam, Big, Crocodile Dundee 2, 3 Men and a Baby, Cocktail, Moonstruck, Die Hard, and Beetlejuice.
Okay, a lot of those are pretty tough, but Crocodile Dundee 2 I would feel a little bad about not beating.
I love looking at old box office because it's so different from nowadays, where like Die Hard and Beetlejuice are 9 and 10.
They're at the very bottom, yeah.
Well behind 3 Men and a Baby. And I was like, okay, but where is Dirty Rotten Scoundrels on this list? It's the number 36 movie of the year.
Wow.
Behind At number 34, Child's Play.
Oh, yes, baby.
And
Come on.
35,
That should be number 1.
Ernest Saves Christmas.
Okay, well, yeah. That's fine. That should be 1 and 2.
So it was down there in the Sam zone of the box office.
The top of the box office is the Sam zone, too. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Come on.
So let's get into it, Sam. This is the end of season 5. Do we think it was a strong end to a season?
I actually do think it was not bad.
Ooh.
Plan 8 from Outer Space was like there was a gas leak or something in Nanny's house. That one was
Okay.
so crazy. But
I will say, I agree
Yeah.
with you. It's wild.
Yeah.
But it does have maybe some of my favorite Muppet Babies moments ever.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, when I got done with it, I was like, I'm not mad at this episode for some reason. There's other ones that have been random that I've been mad at, but then it's like
Mhm.
this one actually isn't random. It's just really stupid, and does some crazy stuff narratively. But
Mhm.
then the other 3, I thought actually, especially the air conditioner at the end of the galaxy, were pretty good. I
Yeah.
think air conditioner is maybe my favorite Muppet Baby episode.
Oh, wow.
I just thought it was like I think when I like a Muppet Baby episode, I think one thing I've noticed it does a lot is really blurs the line between what's the imagination and what not blurs the line. It really clearly shows what they're doing while they're imagining.
Right.
And to see them in their little wagon tooling around and the way it cuts back and forth so much between like we're in this cool nightclub, we're actually in the pantry was like that's really satisfying because there's never the like disconnect of like and one thing some of my favorite ones don't do also is like this is dangerous, but it's not dangerous, so that never works. You just
Right.
have to be like this is really creative and they're having fun, and that's better than like oh no we're gonna get killed by King Kong. And it's like no, animal is slapping you and he is a baby. You're fine.
Yeah, but his strength, I feel like he could
Nat,
take you
like
out.
adult baby animal. He could slap your head clean off your shoulders.
Yeah.
But what did you think?
Yeah, I think Bug Busting Babies is not the best season finale, especially with the resolution just being Scooter remembering that he could solve this problem the whole
That just made
time.
me laugh. That was so funny to me.
But I do agree. I think there was definitely some standout moments. I'm interested to talk about the air conditioner one because when watching that, I didn't love it. So I want to talk about what made you like it so much.
It had some funny lines in it was one thing I really liked about it. But
Yeah.
I think it was just like it had a plot. Like it stuck
Yeah.
with the same thing the whole time. And it was like it made sense too, and it was cute to hear Scooter be like, I watched African Queen with Nanny. And it's like okay, we're getting a nice little view into you're not locked in this room all the time. Nanny does
Right.
actually talk to you the other 24 and a half hours of the day that we don't see you.
I'll be curious to see what we both thought more about Junkyard Muppets as we go through this because it's the only one we're not currently referencing of the 4 as we talk about things we liked. So yeah, one thing I did learn, or I guess realize while looking at it on Muppet Wiki this week, we didn't see Bunsen and Beaker at
This
all
whole season, did we?
No, and we won't see them again until season 8.
Beaker does show up in an episode with a non-speaking role in a fantasy sequence.
Yes, it's in the John Bon Scooty segment.
Right. He's his
For
manager.
some reason, he pops out behind an amp and like hands something like a guitar or something like that.
He's Von Bon Scooty's manager.
Yeah,
is what it
but
is,
that's the only time we see Beaker in all of season
Right.
5. We haven't seen them since season 4, and we won't see them again until season 8.
Whoa,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I
They
think
were
they're
like
only
unofficial baby, like Muppet
they're in the
Babies.
title sequence. Like, obviously there was a choice made at some point that like we got too many freaking babies already.
Yeah.
We don't need more babies to write for. And I think they only come back for one more episode in season 8 even. So we're only going to see those babies like one more time.
Well, I wonder if it has anything to do with that they overlap Scooter in a way that makes Scooter unimportant, kind of.
Well, I think maybe it's also, babies coming and going from the nursery. Like how many, like, I don't know. Maybe there's too many questions that get asked.
Yeah, I guess so. They ran out of ways to be like Bunsen and Beaker are here now, but they could just live next door or something. I don't know, but
Mhm.
that's surprising.
Well, we won't see Baby Robin ever again either. Like, we're
Ever
done with
again?
him.
We're done
No.
with Baby Robin.
Yeah,
And
we only got to see him
his
twice.
last like appearance was off screen when Kermit was going to visit him.
Right, yeah.
Huh.
We got 2 episodes with him in the nursery and then 1 where he was referenced. Now, he might be referenced again, and that I don't know. But as far as actually appearing in the show, we will not see Baby Robin again.
Interesting.
So they're really, shutting down the facility here. No one comes in or out.
Yeah, they're down. Yeah, they liquidated all the rest of the Muppet Babies.
But yeah, getting into the first episode, November 12th, 1988, Plan 8 from Outer Space, written by Lois Becker and Mark Stratton. This one opens up with the babies having just finished some sort of Canada Goose documentary that they were all enjoying.
Were they seemed like they were liking it, right? It seemed like
think
it was
so.
going to be a joke and they'd be like, "This I'm so bored." But then they were like they were like all sitting in like respectful reverence of the end
Yeah.
of this the Canada Goose thing.
Yeah. To me, I read it as they were watching a documentary
Yeah.
about geese.
Yeah, sure. They're watching a lot of TV in this batch too.
They gotta, this is how you learn important information, Sam.
It is a really good device for
Mhm.
sure. It's better than Nanny walking in and being like, "Here's a book you can't read. See you later."
Well, suddenly there's some breaking news on the TV. Princess Diana is not able to find a nanny for her sons.
I don't know if this is fair to say, but I feel like the Princess Diana fever is something we can't understand. Like,
Yeah, I mean, the biggest obvious memory I have of Princess Diana is her death.
yeah,
Because we were like 9 or 10 when that happened.
right.
So outside of that, I don't really remember thinking about Princess Diana
Yeah,
before then. But I think, mid 80s, people were much more on royal watch. This was well after both of them had affairs.
yeah.
And their marriage
right.
was in a rough spot. And so, I'm sure, they were sort of tabloid darlings where a lot of people were talking about what they were up to. As
Including
far as
Miss
I...
Piggy. I mean,
Yes.
it tracks for Miss Piggy. It is kind of weird. Oh, this is just something that's occurring to me. It's weird that Piggy is a baby when Princess Diana is around, but
Yes.
surely adult Piggy has talked about Princess Diana too.
This is something I realized later on when we get to see the moment that Kermit learns what snowboarding is.
Oh yeah, it's a cool
Where
new
I was
sport.
like, oh, we've kicked around so often. Are these the real Muppets as babies? This is their origin story.
They couldn't possibly be though.
They're 80s babies.
Yeah.
These are the most 80s of babies.
Yeah.
And Kermit is not an 80s baby.
No, he was born in maybe like 1923 or something like that.
So what this is like, okay, sorry everyone. This is like if Bart Simpson was real.
Yeah.
In our human world.
Yeah.
And The Simpsons was our retelling of Bart Simpson's life.
Okay. Okay. This is
Because
the craziest thing I've ever heard you say, but continue.
I know, but we've talked about this before on the podcast, how like every 10 years, The Simpsons has to like reset a little bit of when they are taking place.
And now
so,
Homer is like, I loved Nirvana when I was a kid or something like that. Or actually even more soon than that.
No, because we're like the same age as Homer.
Yeah.
So he'd be like really into Blink-182 in high school.
He's like, Homer's like 36. So yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
So it's a little bit like, okay, the Muppet Babies have to exist in the time they are currently in, not necessarily the time frame where the Muppets would have been babies.
Right. And they would be like Nanny's age based on the things that she is telling them about.
For sure.
Yeah.
Kermit would be like, oh, Bob Hope, of course. He's my favorite.
He's my friend. I know that guy. Wow. But who better to raise clones of vaudeville actors than a woman who's that age, huh? She could mold them.
I mean, maybe it was her idea to put that chip in their head or whatever.
Yeah. She's the scientist who approached the Muppets and said, you guys aren't going to live forever, but I have an idea.
I love this version of Nanny, that she is actually the lead scientist. I always saw her as a bit more of like a patsy in this, where she was just being like, assigned to like, hey, you can't let them know what you're doing, but you need to go in and be the nanny.
I've always thought of her as an Owen Grady type, where she's like the raptor keeper, from Jurassic World. And she's like the only one who can like keep them calm.
Wow, Sam, there's like 12 people in the world who could pull out the name Owen Grady.
Well, you know what?
And Chris Pratt's not even one of them.
There's 11 other people besides me. Yeah, you're probably right.
Where the reporter on TV importantly says the words, "It's getting harder and harder to find a good nanny."
Mm-hmm.
And so the kids at first are just like, you know what we should do? We should help. Let's go help Princess Di find a nanny because we know the best nanny.
Genuinely their worst imagination ever. Like, that's so boring.
See, but I think what I like about this episode, and I didn't realize it until a specific moment later on, this is one of the few episodes where I think the characters are all making character-based decisions for the most part.
Okay.
Like, a lot of the times when a character suggests something or just a line of dialogue will happen, I'm like, oh, this is not just a random line you inserted into that baby's mouth because you needed a plot point to happen. This feels like a thing that baby would decide to do based on what I know about them.
Kermit would play along in this way. Fozzie would play along in this way. I get
Precisely.
What you're saying. Yeah.
It's worth
Gonzo
noting-
would ruin the whole thing by turning it into being about aliens.
Yeah. But it's. I was going to say it's worth noting. It's not. I care about these things. Maybe other people don't. They show a photo of the exterior of the building that they're going to talk to Princess Di.
Yeah.
And this is not anywhere where Princess Di should be.
It ain't Windsor Palace.
It is not. There's an an interior picture that is Windsor Castle later on.
Mm-hmm.
But also, that ain't where Princess Di lived either.
Oh.
So this building they show the outside of is Woburn Abbey, which was actually the house of Ian Russell, the 13th Duke of Bedford.
How do you know that?
Google image search, Sam.
Okay.
Reverse image search that house because I was like, that doesn't look like Buckingham Palace or anything. So
Wow.
it is not.
You're an investigative journalist, basically.
I guess.
You're a real Geralfo.
At this time, funnily enough, the man they would have run into had they gone to that house, his name was Robin, who was the son of the Duke of Bedford, who was the Marquis of Tavistock, who was currently running the Abbey at the time that they would have gone to see him in the 80s.
All our British listeners are freaking out.
Like, oh shit, the Marquis of Tavistock! And then, yeah, I just added this in here. This is even less relevant, but I found it on Wikipedia where it said in the early 1990s, the Marquis and a group planned to turn the Abbey into a large theme park with the help of the creator of the roller coasters Nemesis and Oblivion.
What, are they not allowed to? I feel like that's the kind of thing where the Queen says, no.
No, because they apparently bought a different Abbey old building called Alton Towers and turned that into a theme park.
I've heard of Alton Towers.
Yeah. But if you look it up outside of the actual roller coaster part, it is just like an old abbey.
Oh, cool.
But yes, not anywhere that Princess Di or Prince Charles would have been. They should have gone to Kensington Palace or Highgrove House, which are the two places that Princess Di would have been at the time, probably. But this does have one of my favorite Muppet Babies lines of all time. When the butler opens the door and says, "Oh yes, the baby people. The Royal Highness has been expecting you."
The baby people. Yeah. I think one thing that even the bad, in my opinion, not good episodes of Muppet Babies these days have is a little bit more self-awareness. Where in the first few seasons, it was like deadly sincere. I think, just because that one guy was writing all of them and he didn't have any other time to do anything else, and he had written all of it, so he couldn't like make fun of his own stuff or something like that. But yeah, the baby people is like, oh yeah, this is stupid, and they know that it's stupid.
So the babies go into the house and cause just a big old ruckus, knock over suits of armor, knock over a crown, almost ruin some paintings. Piggy's trying to keep them in line at first because she knows how a princess should act. But thankfully, when Princess Diana shows up, she's like, hey, call me Di, and you can keep that crown. I got plenty. And then, perplexingly, we get an imagination sequence inside.
A nested imagination sequence.
We're too many layers deep.
We're doing Inception now.
Piggy has to tell Princess Di how they're going to solve her nanny problem. And she's like, well, don't you worry. We're going to do Piggy Poppins School for Nannies. And then we get a Mary Poppins musical interlude.
Yeah, this is one of the most unimportant sequences in Muppet Babies history, I would say.
I want to say there's a detail, Sam, that could potentially be more important if we unravel it.
Okay.
When she goes to tell Princess Di this idea, she slips first and says, Piggy Poppins School for Animals.
Oh, why?
Great question. Did she just reveal the name of the Muppet Babies facility to us?
The school for
Not
animals?
necessarily. Yes, the school
Nanny
for animals
school
part.
for animals.
Maybe.
School
Why
for
would she say it
animals.
otherwise?
Why did she say it? Even beyond our own headcanon, why did
From
she
like
say
a
that?
writer's room conversation of why did she say the Piggy Poppins School for Animals? I mean nannies.
What the hell does that even mean?
No idea. There's also some very weird questions during this musical number called What Nannies Do, which is sort of a Mary Poppins, but also sort of like a You Got Trouble from the Music Man.
Yeah. Right. They didn't quite hit the nanny, or they didn't quite hit the Mary Poppins tone.
No, because there's also a weird thing happening throughout it where Animal, Gonzo, and Fozzie are like class clowns who are pretending to be women in the class.
Dressed up in dowdy old nanny clothes.
Yeah. At first I was just like, oh, that girl in class looks just like Fozzie. But then it's revealed that, oh, these are actually these characters in wigs for some reason.
And
but
they're
the song,
dressed like that, but then also in the nanny school, there's like a guy in like a motorcycle jacket. So like, it's not all ladies. I don't know.
I don't know why they felt like they had to add in Animal, Gonzo, and Fozzie causing trouble.
Right.
Because this would have been fine without that. Like,
and also, you'd assume you want to go to school to be a nanny. You don't have to go to school to be a nanny. Like, you have to go to regular school.
Yeah. But I think this might be the best Piggy solo song we've seen.
Yeah, that's true.
But coming out of that song, back to the Princess Di imagination segment, does make it feel like they're actually with Princess Di.
This was one where I could feel the writers being like, God damn it, why do we always have to have them be doing dream sequences? Why can't the babies really meet Princess Di? This would make everything so much easier. And how much talk they must have had about, are we allowed to do a dream sequence inside of a dream sequence? I don't know.
And also, we don't usually use real living people in our stories. It's usually like an homage to, that could be Indiana Jones, but it's not because we're not going to reference real things.
Or if we do, we use a clip of them.
Yeah. So this is a weird thing where they're talking about a real living person and just straight up using her name. But in this, she tells them this isn't your usual nanny shortage. Nannies have been disappearing, and I want you all to find out what's happening to them.
I know that this is prompted by that news thing that they watched, but that's as it goes on, it's so tenuous that there is a point where, and you also don't see Nanny, so there is a point where you're like, is Nanny really missing? And they're dealing with that somehow, or what's going on here?
Right. They were wandering around the house being like, Nanny? And she's out of the grocery store or whatever she's doing.
Which would have been a more sensical way. Like if she had just been in the bathroom or something like that.
Yeah.
It would have been a more sensical way to start this, is that she was just like, oh, I was outside for a second. Calm down.
The babies learn about object permanence.
Right.
Like, oh my God, Nanny's gone forever.
Instead of the setup being, we watched a news report about how Princess Diana can't find a nanny. And then by the end of this, we're imagining aliens.
Well, first, Rolf suggests that they do what they do on TV, investigate. So we get to see him imagining himself as Gerolfo Rivera, looking through a department store lost and found for Nanny.
I would assume at the beginning of that, he's walking through the actual production offices of Muppet Babies, so don't you think?
Oh, maybe. It was just like an office building. I'm not really sure what was happening there.
I suppose it could have been a clip of some sort, but
yeah, I thought we were going to get some sort of like Al Capone's vault situation happening.
That would have made more sense. Yeah.
I thought he was going to like have some weird commentary where he was going to go look for Nanny behind a wall and be like, oh, she's gone. There's no nannies here.
There's no nannies in here, which would have been better than what they did, which is just he goes to Kermit and Kermit's like, Nanny's not here. And he says, okay, see you later.
And they could have played that off of like, cut the cameras.
Right.
Don't like, but no, just it is Kermit just saying like, yeah, no nannies here. So they instead, Gerolfo goes to Radio City Music Hall, but there's no nannies there either. Or so he thinks, because suddenly on stage we see the Nanettes in a kick line. I think this happens often to Rolf, where he's like trying to interject his own imagination ideas, and all the other babies are like, just let him get it out.
Yeah. And then immediately Gonzo's like, that actually didn't happen.
Yeah. And he's like, actually, they got abducted or something.
Yeah. Because Rolf somehow maintained the soul of his original, where he was born in the 1920s.
He's like a different version of boring from Kermit. Like Kermit's
Yeah.
fantasies are often boring, but then like, what if I just played a prince named Kermit or a cowboy named Kermit, and the story
Right.
happened exactly as you remember from a book?
Yeah.
And Rolf's like, all right, yeah, but what if I was like smoking a cigarette in a jazz club and suddenly I saw across the bar that they're like, whoa, what's happening? Calm
That's
down.
right.
Get out of here.
But you know what? In that sense, Rolf really is one of the Muppets who most achieved his dreams in life, because he is just smoking a cigarette, playing a
That's
piano,
true.
and he wants to do that his whole life.
Yeah, he was longing for the club, and
Yeah,
he
he's
eventually earned
extremely
it.
successful.
Well, yeah, Gonzo does interrupt as Sherlock Gonzo to say that's not what happened. And first, he has to introduce us to a baby named Barney Smith.
I don't like that.
I like it because it's clearly just like a Frank Welker voice you would have heard on Scooby-Doo,
Yeah.
where this baby's just like, can't say that I did, because I didn't. And you're like, I didn't expect this grown man voice to be coming out of this baby named Barney Smith in this moment.
Had Baby Herman already been exposed to, like, had people seen Baby Herman yet from Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I don't think that movie was out yet.
Oh, I guess it was around the same time, but not in enough time to have stolen the idea.
Right. This baby is very Baby Herman coded, though.
Yes, very Baby Herman coded, but I think these things just sort of parallel, just parallel thoughts.
Or they were talking to some Disney animators who were like, we got a gangster baby coming out. You guys got to do the same thing.
And they're like, all right, we definitely know what you're talking about. We'll definitely make a gangster baby. And they're like, that's what you thought we were doing? Well, that gangster baby doesn't go anywhere.
No.
It's really just like the scene in like a Law and Order where they go, ask a guy some questions, and he's like, hey, I didn't see nothing.
Yeah. Nothing that we've seen so far has gone anywhere.
Well, yeah, you're right.
None of it has meant anything so far. It didn't make my breakdown at the beginning, which means it didn't have any plot significance.
I think also what your point about the later on African Queen episode, this one is one of those that has no stakes in the real world whatsoever.
Right.
There is nothing really happening in the nursery when they are worried about nannies disappearing.
Right.
They're not going to look for a real nanny. They're not whatever. Like, this is fully just an imagined scenario from top to bottom, and nothing really happened the entire time.
Right. Undercut by the fact that eventually they walk into the TV room and Nanny's just sitting there, and they're like, we got to protect Nanny.
Yeah. Well, they find some strange tracks, which lead them to a UFO, because it's the invasion of the nanny snatchers now. Scooter immediately is like, well, don't worry, I can use my computer to pick up any alien life forms.
And he does?
He does. This is the part where I started to like the character beats in this episode, because we get a take charge Kermit scene where he's like,
I liked that too.
Fozzie, build an alien deflector shield. Piggy, distract the aliens. Skeeter, set up a communication system. Gonzo, figure out how to follow them. And Rolf, invent a detector so they know if aliens are following them.
Yes, very practical things.
And I liked Kermit in this mode. And I think from here on out, I was like sold on this episode. But you're right, that like nothing before this matters at all.
Right. The alien part is fine. I agree with that. But before
it's like
that,
the
it's just
Bugbusters one. Like, not jumping ahead too much, but
yeah.
We don't get any Bugbusters, Ghostbusters homages in the first half of that episode.
Well, you know what? I just count my lucky stars that we got one, period. Because there have been several episodes named after things that do not appear at all in the episode.
I was fully prepared for the theme song to be the only reference we got, and then for the rest of the episode to just completely ignore it.
Nah, they lean in.
Yeah. So Gonzo's, who, again, was supposed to be figuring out how to follow the aliens, kind of does.
He does it. Sure.
He turns the dining room into a barber shop, which uses spinning chairs to transport them to another planet.
Yeah, weird. I thought that they were gonna do the pump them up because they raise the barbershop chairs go up and
Oh,
down.
yeah.
I thought
Just
they'd
like,
pump them all the way up to space,
nope.
but instead they just like spin and teleport them.
Yeah, there's like an unnecessary barbershop layer to this plot.
Yeah, and this is a part where he brings them into the dining room and he has all the chairs set up, and he's like, "Haven't you ever seen a barbershop before?" It's like, no, this is unnecessary. This doesn't look like a barber. This is not how barbershops are laid out, first of all, but
Yeah,
also,
all the chairs facing away from each other.
yeah, not following.
Well, they quickly discover the mothership once they're on the other planet, where all the nannies are prisoners.
I like that all the nannies are dressed like Nanny. Like, where's
Yes,
Waldo?
they just have
look?
like different body shapes.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Gonzo stole some of Nanny's socks so the babies can sneak in as nannies, a thing that he apparently did in real life.
Yeah, because they're all wearing a big sock.
They don't fit them though, so they have to wear them sort of like a
Potato
sack race. Yeah.
Exactly. Jinx.
We did not say the same words.
Sack. I said sack. We both said sack.
We both said sack. That's true. I'll give you that. Well, in Fozzie's words, they run into some aliens that look like ugly lizards.
They look like Kremlings from Donkey Kong to me.
Yeah,
Or
I can see
Yoshi.
that.
They kind of look like Yoshi, too.
Well, the babies need to split up to save all the other nannies while preventing their nanny from being taken. And this is the moment where I was like, oh, these are real characters doing a real thing right now. Because Piggy starts to cry a little bit, and she explains that she doesn't want to split up from Kermit. Why would she want to do that? And so Skeeter is like, I got this, Kermit, don't worry, and whispers to Kermit, like, hey, here's an idea. And so Kermit leans over after listening to Skeeter and goes, the time has come for us to part, but we will meet again, and smooches her on the cheek. And they run, and they're like, okay, we're good. Now we can split ways. And something about this moment just felt really, I don't know, character driven in a way for me. That felt like Skeeter was being a good friend. This felt like a thing where Kermit has to decide, like, oh, I have to smooch Piggy in this moment, but I don't want to really, but it will help me get us to split up and do this. I know this will work on her. I have to pretend to be this like masculine movie hero, and I'm bad at that, so I have to do it quickly. This just all felt sort of real in like a Muppet reel kind of way.
I agree. And to the extent that it was a little bit weird. Like,
Mhm.
it totally stood out in a super strange way from the rest of the entire
It was
series,
too good.
basically. Yeah, it was too good. It was too, and it was like maybe a kid watching it probably also wouldn't really understand what was happening because I
Yeah.
just barely understood what was happening until it was over.
Yeah, that's what I had the same reaction where I paused it and rewatched it to be like, wait, was this good? Why did I like this so much? This
Yeah.
beat was really strong. Like, let's rewatch this and figure it out. So I'm glad you noticed that too, because it really worked for me. And I think it made me like this whole episode more because it had that one moment in it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, this is when half the babies zip back to protect Nanny. But then we see Rolf's alien detector go off as Gonzo approaches the cockpit of the ship.
Oh, yeah, right.
And Piggy and Rolf are both sure that this reinforces their idea that Gonzo is an alien.
Yeah. Earlier in the episode, he has declared himself to be a bird. Because he says one of the geese is his uncle or something like that.
Well, then Gonzo and the other babies get caught by the aliens, and they learn that the aliens are just using striped socks as fuel. They don't actually want the nannies, which makes me worried about what they're doing with the nannies after they take their socks.
Eating
Because
the
I
nannies.
assume,
They didn't even bother writing that part down.
yeah.
This is secondary to our plan. There's a weird part in this. Okay, there's a part where they're drinking lemonade.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
That's
where
in the
they're
next
captured.
episode.
No, they drink lemonade a couple times in these.
Okay.
When they're captured by the aliens, the two-headed aliens are drinking lemonade, and they say, "Yum, this is delicious." And then Piggy says, "Thanks, I made it myself." And then Gonzo and Rolf look at each other. Are they drinking pee? Or why does that part happen?
Like, why do they look at each other?
Why does she say, "Thanks, I made it myself," and then they give each other a weird look? What's the through line there?
I didn't notice this part, so I don't know for sure. but I would hope it's not that. I would
They're
assume
drinking
it's not
pee.
that. I would assume it's maybe more of like, "Pff,
No,
she
she
doesn't know
didn't.
how to make
She
lemonade."
doesn't know how to make lemonade. But where does the lemonade come from, and why is it important?
I
Nanny doesn't
mean,
bring them lemonade at any point.
not in this episode,
No,
but it's
later.
also an imaginary alien who's drinking it.
Yeah.
So there is also probably imaginary lemonade.
Maybe the look is like, Piggy's always imagining that she's making somebody drink her pee. It's like we've
It's like,
never
wow,
seen
I
that
can't
part of
believe
every.
this works every time in her imagination. Would you like some ice cold lemonade?
Piggy, they're our friends. So you didn't have to make these guys drink your pee. They already like us.
That's why Bunsen and Beaker are never coming back.
That's why, yeah.
Well, the solution to the problems in this episode is they decide to take the aliens to the department store to buy $52.90 worth of striped socks.
It is a delightfully straightforward solution.
Yeah. $143, by the way, in today's money.
Oh, well, that's still not bad.
Yeah.
To
but I
fuel
feel
your
like-
ship on the way back home?
Right, but that's my worry, is that it's not actually going to be enough.
They would know. They probably weighed them or something.
If they're kidnapping all the nannies in the world,
That's true.
that's a lot more socks than what $143 would get you today.
That's true. And their plan, the socks for free. So
Yeah.
if I was those aliens, I would have killed the babies.
Like,
instead.
well, maybe we'll just keep taking
We
all
will
the nannies.
continue to kidnap the nannies because actually you can't do anything to us except make us drink your pee. And that's not really going to stop us. We just won't drink any more lemonade.
Well, it's time for bed then. They've saved all the nannies. The babies are back to their other sleeping arrangements of all the popular babies in one bed, all the not popular babies in the other bed.
I love an episode where Nanny comes in and she's just like, just go to bed.
Well, then they ask her, like, hey, Nanny, can you sleep on the nursery couch? Because we're scared. And she's like, what? I guess. This
I'm
sucks.
old.
Yeah, my old bones don't want to sleep on a couch.
She should
but
really have a
that's-
little pullout in there or something, though.
No, she doesn't want to actually help them in any way whatsoever.
Yeah, you're right.
But that's where the episode ends. And the go bye-bye at the end is just Animal disguised as an alien.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what that episode is like as random and stupid as any other episode, but there was something about it, like I said, where I was just like, I don't hate it. I don't know why, but I don't.
Yeah, for me, that one moment really is the pin where it's like, ooh,
Yeah.
make more Muppet Babies like this,
Right.
and I'll like more Muppet Babies.
Yeah, it feels random in the way where it's like at least somebody was trying to write this episode, where
Mhm.
older random episodes are just like you were on a deadline.
Right. Like, I totally agree with you. Like, what we were talking about of we both prefer episodes where you get to see the real world
Yeah.
parallel to what they're doing, or there's like a real world motivation of
Right.
whether it's the air conditioner's gone out. Oh, there's a bird loose in the nursery, or whatever it is.
A koala.
There's something. Yeah, there's some random animal that the neighbor cop brought over for some reason, who we also haven't seen in forever.
No.
But yeah, like having that motivation versus like it just being something they watched on TV, and then
Right.
there is no real world follow up of them not being able to find Nanny, or Nanny saying like, hey, I got to run up to the attic for a minute, and they're worried she'll never come back down.
Yeah.
Like if she goes up to the attic and they're like, Nanny's taking a little while, and then they see the thing on TV about nannies being nanny napped,
Uh-huh.
I feel like that gives enough motivation for the rest of the episode to
Yeah.
happen.
Right. Yeah, I like that way better. Then you don't need Princess Diana to be in it.
Well, you gotta have Princess Diana. It's the 80s, Sam. Well, we still got 3 more episodes to talk
Okay,
about,
we're
so we
gonna
should
go-
probably
we're
get to
gonna do
those.
fast, yeah.
November 19th, 1988, Junkyard Muppets. The maybe forgettable episode, which I feel like we just keep glossing over in this conversation. Written by Sidney McKay and Larry Swerdlove. It's sort of like a Wall Wonkers episode we watched back in season 3
Uh-huh.
of Mice and Muppets when it comes to, this invented group of creatures who are stealing our stuff or
Yeah. We learn a lot
invading
about
the
their
nursery.
subculture, though. They're
there's-
almost Fraggle-esque in a way.
They
I
do
think.
have some Fraggle qualities to them. This episode begins, though, with the story of Alibaba that Kermit is really trying to tell and really trying to stick to the facts of the story, but his friends do not want that to happen
Yeah.
because first Fozzie's like, I think you mean Fozzie Baba. He's like, fine, Fozzie Baba. And he's like, oh, and don't forget my sidekick, Baby Baba.
Baby Baba. I
Which is
loved
very
Baby
good.
Baba. Yeah.
I liked Baby Baba. My only problem with Baby Baba, because Baby Baba is Fozzie's teddy bear,
Yeah.
he's just a higher pitched version of Fozzie.
Yeah, this is all this like they introduce this teddy bear character like we should know who he is, and then
Or
he
that he's
doesn't
going to
show.
be interesting.
Yeah, then he just doesn't even show up the rest of the episode. But yeah, during this
He's
sequence,
missing, Sam. What do you expect?
well, even when they find him at the end, I don't think he's like, "Hey, Fozzie, help me, help me."
Yeah,
He's
no.
just like, but yeah, in this whole sequence, Fozzie's walking around with his living teddy bear in a dream sequence, obviously, but like in an imagination. But he's got like his own little voice, and they talk to him like they've always known this little like
Yeah.
kind of like sassy little teddy bear. But Baby Baba, Baby
Mhm.
Baba is like, like Boo Boo. It's like a classic Hanna-Barbera name for a character. I feel
That's
like
very good. Yeah. In the Hanna-Barbera era, there might be an unfortunate accent attached to Baby Baba.
absolutely.
But
Yeah. I guess he's like Baba Louie. That's what I'm thinking of. Baby Baba, Baba
there we
Louie.
go.
Yeah.
They should have
Quick
had Baby
drama
Baba
draws
Louie.
friend. Baby Baba Booey. That's
Howard Stern
Howard
animated
Stern
spin-off.
babies. Howard Stern babies. Yeah. Baby Baba Booey.
Well, the other babies start to get upset that Kermit says there is supposed to be 40 of them. And they're like, there's 4 of us. And he's like, fine, there's 4 of them. And then they also get mad that he calls them thieves.
This is like something that would happen on the Muppet Show. I liked this intro because it was like, or like Sesame Street. Like Grover would be like, I'm not a thief. I'm just trying to get by. You shouldn't call me that.
Well, and like clearly Kermit doesn't know how to count. He's like, he said there's 40 of us. Look at 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
And Animal, who doesn't count because Piggy is riding him like a horse.
Right. Yeah.
Well, when trying to open the cave door, speaking of, one of the things Fozzie says is open Sesame Street.
Yeah, we get a couple Sesame Street call outs in this. A nice segue into our next chunk of episodes.
Yeah, that was totally intentional. Thank you, Muppet Babies. Well, they end up opening up the closet, which is the cave door in this instance, and everything spills out and just wallops the babies.
And I guess the implication, Nanny comes in and she's like, what have you done? And I guess the implication is that they have been filling this closet up with crap. Is that right?
Yeah, because at first Fozzie is like, oh my God, Nanny, I'm so sorry I made this mess. And Nanny doesn't even give that a second thought. She's like, oh, really? This is just your junk, Fozzie? Not everybody else's? And the babies are like, oh, well, I guess you're right. And she goes, you need to clean up this mess. And she leaves the nursery.
Nanny needs to take some responsibility. These are babies.
Yeah, you can't just, never check in on what your 4-year-olds are doing.
Yeah, never look in their closet.
So Nanny tells the kids, I'm sure you can all clean this up by lunchtime. See you later. And leaves. Kermit immediately gets distracted by his old cowboy hat he found. I also like that he's not necessarily the one I would imagine being the distracting one, but he does immediately fall into the trap of when you clean out your closet, you're like, oh, I forgot this thing exists. I want to think about this for a while.
Well, that's exactly what they do in those clip videos we watched when Kermit and Fozzie go up into the attic of the Muppet building thing, and they don't clean up anything. They're just like, look at this egg. Remember eggs?
Well, we get to see an imagination segment where Piggy runs an antique store. Fozzie comes in looking for his teddy bear that we now learn he lost when the closet junk exploded everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then we end up over at Cowboy Kermit's open air swap meet. Not necessarily where I thought Kermit's cowboy hat would take him on his imaginative journey.
And I don't understand how the swap meet thing helps anybody at all. Like, helps them clean or anything?
Yeah, I like it as a balance to what Piggy's version of this is an antique store.
Right.
And Kermit's version is a swap meet.
Yeah, but Skeeter's the only one. Like, Skeeter's like, we're at the dump. And then all the rest of the babies are like, nah. But Skeeter's the only one. Like, in the background, Skeeter is cleaning up the entire playroom while they're all playing other stupid games. That's probably what's happening.
Yeah, because Gonzo is at the swap meet to stock up on troll fighting supplies because he's convinced this is all the result of closet trolls who take pieces of your favorite games and puzzles and your socks. So Gonzo and Fozzie jump into a big hole in the floor in the hopes of rescuing Teddy from the trolls. They run into a troll who talks a bit like Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
And this part goes on way too long, which in Muppet Babies world is only like 3 minutes, but is a really long time to just be in one scene where nothing is really happening.
Yeah, the kind of thing where you hover over the little playhead and you're like, 7 minutes into the episode, I see.
Inexplicably, we go back to Cowboy Kermit's swap meet, but this time somebody else gets a turn. It's Uncle Scooty at his bargain table.
That I like Uncle Scooty.
I feel like this is Scooter trying to impress Kermit. They don't really say that in the episode.
Yeah, you're right.
But I feel like him trying to like lean into the southern aw shucks accent
Yeah.
and coming up with this character feels like he's trying to impress Kermit.
Yeah, like it's his SNL audition or something, and Kermit is Lorne.
Or Kermit's like, maybe one day you can take over the swap meet, but I have to make sure you got the right stuff.
Yeah, you got to have a character like Cowboy Kermit, for instance.
Well, they find an undercover spy set, including.
Well, yeah, I guess the thing that's not being mentioned is that Piggy's missing a bracelet, which
because they don't really mention it for most of the episode.
Right, it's not vital to anything that she's missing, and I don't she comes to them and she's like, "I'm missing my bracelet." Kermit's and Scooter's idea is, "Let's wear disguises." And she says, "All right, I have no other plan, but."
Well, and it's very odd too because they come up with that and then they put a beard on Piggy and immediately cut away to Gonzo and Fozzie who are back down in the troll hole, and you're like, "Are we not going to do anything with the Piggy beard thing?"
We gotta know more about the Piggy beard. And she doesn't have a beard on next time we see her, right?
I think they do actually, but it's very briefly because Gonzo and Fozzie immediately run into disguised Piggy and Kermit, who I guess knew to go in this troll hole or at least be a part of this fantasy idea.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
But the best part of that is that immediately they're like, "Oh, hey, Piggy and Kermit."
Okay, you know what would have made more sense is Piggy's like, maybe Gonzo's right about these closet trolls. Let's dress up like closet trolls and sneak down there. Then they can have the disguise thing. I don't know why they need the disguise thing otherwise, because Kermit dresses up like Magnum PI kind of, and it's just like the trolls would still kill you. They'd kill Magnum PI just as much as they'd kill anyone else.
That'd be a wild episode of Magnum PI.
Trolls are real.
Well, we do get to see the closet trolls who are singing a song called Your Stuff. That's all about we want your stuff.
Kind of a fraggly song.
You know why I think they're kind of fraggly, not only in like nature, but also in look?
Mm-hmm.
Because we find out they are puppets.
Oh, yeah, right.
And so they're sort of designed like you could stick a hand in their face.
There's a subconscious thing there. Yeah, you're right. Or conscious, I suppose.
But we see at the end that they do have the teddy bear. And they also have a mysterious, very Rolf-like villain
very
commanding
Rolf-sounding guy, yeah.
I'd like a close-up shot of that villain Rolf, but we don't get one.
Yeah, in a world where Muppet Babies was like a little bit more popular, there would be like an action figure of evil overlord Rolf.
I like that. He's got like sort of a Skeletor vibe, but like his hands and face are completely like blacked out in shadow. I liked it a lot, and I was bummed we didn't get a better, clearer image of it. So we come out of that fantasy, and they've been alluding to this big boss. We get a nice little moment from Animal where he's like, "Big boss? Big Rolf?" And we learn that it was Rolf, who was also like Skeeter, just actually being helpful.
He was just cleaning.
He was just cleaning, putting old toys away in boxes with two troll-like puppets. And
it just raised a lot of questions of like, he didn't know he was playing the whole time? Is that right?
I guess not.
And they didn't know he was playing with those puppets the whole time. So
I don't think he was playing with the puppets. I think the bad, evil thing he is doing is putting toys away.
Right. He's got the teddy bear to put Okay.
Like he put the teddy bear away in a box, like to put away in the closet, which in this storyline is the bad guy thing to do because
yes. Okay.
This is sounding worse and worse the more we talk about it, actually. Like the episode itself. I'm like, oh, this isn't very good, huh?
And the babies are making a mess again, and he's mad at them because they're like making the mess. But then the whole time he's also just like under a blanket. Yeah. This episode was forgettable to me, I think, because I don't know how this filled in 25 minutes or whatever, like, just talking about it.
Well, that's the thing is, like, we're pretty much getting to
That's
the end of
the
the
end.
episode already. Like,
Yeah,
we
but
raced through this.
I don't remember what else happened. Like, I don't know how that is all that happened in this episode, and the conclusion of it is odd, and, like, just this is, like, nothing, basically.
Well, because we find out Rolf did not find Miss Piggy's bracelet, a part that was not that explored.
Yeah.
Nanny comes in and is thrilled with how well they've cleaned the nursery.
Right.
And they basically say, wow, I guess we were having so much fun playing. We didn't even realize we were cleaning.
Yeah, and Skeeter is in the background saying, not saying, "Hey, I did all of this.
Yeah,
I
maybe
wanted
it would have
lunch."
worked. Maybe it would have worked better had they been doing things that, like, we the viewer go, oh, that's a mop, or
Yeah.
oh, this is a dust buster or something like
Right.
that, or like they're using cleaning products and they are cleaning the nursery, but they think
Yeah.
that, oh, it's a monster we're chasing or whatever. And so it would make more sense that somehow they sort of accidentally cleaned the nursery.
Right. Or yeah, if they had all worked at a junkyard, like Skeeter had initially proposed, and maybe Gonzo is the bad guy, and he's like, "Hey, being messy ain't so bad. Let's be a little messy."
I mean, it's also, again, Sam, getting back to titles, it is called Junkyard Muppets.
Yeah.
And that's not what the episode is.
It's 10
at
seconds
all.
of the episode where Skeeter says, "I'm pretending I work at a junkyard," and they immediately shut her down.
But we do find out that somehow the bracelet ended up in Baby Baba's turban. And it was just on top of the teddy bear this whole time. So it's lunchtime now, and everyone runs off except Gonzo, who goes back to the closet to see, was it Mr. McTroll?
I don't know. There's a couple things in this set of episodes where I couldn't really understand what they were saying.
Yeah, the audio quality, quite bad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just goes and sees him again. And then the go bye-bye at the end is Gonzo being a puzzle, and the trolls come in and start stealing pieces of him.
Kind of scary, like Goosebumps or
A
something.
little
like-
upsetting, yeah.
But the troll, he looks in the closet and it's kind of like the troll's real. And he's like, this will just be our little secret to the audience.
But that's that episode.
That's that one.
Definitely my least favorite of the batch. So the third episode we watched this week was from November 26th, 1988. I guess Thanksgiving had just happened?
Was on November 24th.
Yeah, so this is the
yes.
weekend. You're still processing your turkey.
You're still eating some turkey sandwiches.
And you're going to sit down Saturday morning to watch The Air Conditioner at the End of the Galaxy. Sam, why is it called that?
Well, I think it must be a reference to...
the opening of the episode?
It's a reference to the opening of the episode, but it's also probably a reference to the restaurant at the end of the universe.
Right.
But it also is maybe something to do, I don't know, maybe in Casablanca there's a line somehow about Rick's being something like that. I'm not really sure. But no, the universe part, the galaxy part, I think is just in reference to this very brief beginning Star Trek thing.
I think so too. Because we open up, this is another episode written by Lois Becker and Mark Stratton. We open up aboard the starship Second Prize with Captain Kirkmitt, where they have taken the static Klingons prisoner and are taking them to stand trial for whatever crimes it is they have committed.
Probably they killed some people, I
Murder.
guess.
I feel like this is the second
War
time we've
crimes.
had some of these things, like Second Prize, Captain Kirkmitt, and the static Klingons.
Rolf being Bones seemed familiar to me too.
Oh,
So
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I do think this has happened before, but I can't remember when. Maybe one of our listeners will remember.
Better than we would, for sure.
I did think that USS Second Prize was pretty good name.
I think we liked that the first time too. Like
Yeah,
that's what made it feel familiar. Where I was like, that's good.
That
Wait a minute.
seems right. Yeah.
It looks like it was probably the season 2 episode, I Want My Muppet TV, is when they did a different Star Trek Weirdo Trek parody.
Weirdo Trek.
But there's the same, like, Miss Piggy's design.
Oh yeah,
exactly the same.
The Klingon with antennas. That's right. Oh wow, there's an episode called Muppet Babies: The Next Generation. That's the Star Trek: The Next Generation takeoff. That's exciting. Scooter is Geordi.
I mean, I feel like you shouldn't get too excited because it's probably 5 seconds of an episode.
Hey, Fozzie's Chewbacca. That makes sense, right?
Look at Rolf's head.
Yep, Rolf's head is cool. He's a Klingon, and Skeeter is Jane Jetson. So this is gonna be a great episode, I think.
Again, I would say don't get your hopes up. Oh,
Okay.
also, Rolf's in the same shot with that guy.
Yeah,
so it's
I'm trying to
clearly
figure that out. That's Rolf's dad.
is Rolf's dad's name Worf?
Yeah, Rolf and Worf.
Worf and Worf.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that eventually. Gonzo's back to flirting with Piggy in this little Star Trek parody, a thing that we haven't seen in a while. The Klingons take over the control of the ship. Piggy's planning a wedding for her and Captain Kirkmitt. When all of a sudden, all the babies start grossly sweating.
They get really sweaty. Yeah,
Even the furry ones. You
Yeah.
can see their sweat on top of their fur.
I don't think any of those animals can sweat. Pigs can sweat, I'm pretty sure, but I don't think the rest of them sweat.
Yeah, it grossed me out. I don't know, I don't know why it grossed me out so much, but like seeing the sweat beating up and running down their faces, it's gonna smell bad in that room.
I think this has happened a couple other times, but I like it when the fantasy is intruded upon by something happening in the real world
Yeah.
subtly like that, and not just animal like hooking a rock at them or something.
Well, because even them, they leave their imagined spaceship and they're like, wait a minute, it's still hot.
It's really
What the
hot.
hell?
Yeah.
And then he comes in to tell them that there's been a heat wave and the air conditioner has broken at the same time. So relax.
There's a part right before that though where they're like, "Why is it so hot? Maybe we really are careening towards the sun." And Scooter says, "Ow, we'd burn up and disintegrate before we ever got that far." I thought that was awesome.
That was very good. Well, and then they're also afraid to like open the nursery door.
Yeah.
Because they think that maybe the nursery has shot off into space.
Yeah.
But this is where I do like this episode. The way it gets into its plot is really strange.
Just with the heat wave and the broken thing?
No, the next thing that happens.
Okay.
Because Nanny comes in and says, hey, there's the heat wave. Air conditioner's broken. All you have to do is relax. I can't help you at all. So bye.
Yeah, a subtle bad nannying moment where a normal parent, I think, would say, let's go to the library. Yeah. My baby can't be in a 90-degree house.
But Scooter suddenly leaps into action and starts getting dressed up like Humphrey Bogart in The African Queen.
Yeah. I think he's just been waiting to do this.
He doesn't go, aha, I have a thought. Like he just runs away and starts getting dressed up. And it's bizarre because Piggy's like, what are you doing there, Scooter? And he's like, oh, this reminded me of a movie that I once watched with Nanny called The African Queen.
I just thought that was so sweet that I didn't really care that it was out of nowhere. But it does, like, Scooter liking Humphrey Bogart a lot makes sense too. Like he'd go to college and start like trying to talk like Humphrey Bogart, or like start smoking cigarettes and be like, yeah, I'm kind of a Humphrey Bogart type.
What we need is the movie Play It Again, Sam, but remade with Scooter, is what you're saying.
Scooter, that's a great idea. Yeah. I mean, they did Casablanca with the Looney Tunes. They should do Casablanca with the Muppets. Why not?
No, not Casablanca.
No, I know what you're saying.
Movie Play It Again, Sam.
They could do both.
Because Scooter's not cool enough to actually pull off.
They could do both. Would he be the only puppet in the movie?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so too.
And we have to, if we're going to do this, we have to make sure Woody Allen gets $0.
Yeah, that also.
Somehow, from a remake of his movie.
I feel like Scooter is a really good choice for the only Muppet in a movie for some reason.
Well, I think, because I feel like he's
not very cartoony as part of it, maybe.
Well, and on the 2015 show, I feel like there's a celebrity that Chelsea Handler. He ends up like dating her for a brief moment on that show. And something about that works for some reason.
Yeah.
In a way that, when somebody like Kermit flirts with a celebrity, you're like, oh yeah, they're flirting with him because he's Kermit the Frog.
Right.
Whereas with Scooter, it was like, oh no, he's just a guy they're into.
Yeah. It's like, it's also kind of like Scooter needs this job. Kermit could do anything.
Yeah. Well, Piggy wants to play with Scooter because she hears the word queen and is like, I could be a queen. Let's do this. I do really like Scooter and Piggy as a duo. Like,
I thought this was a great combo. It was
and it ends,
perfect.
We'll get there, but like it ends very sweetly as well.
Yeah. I thought they were a really good combo too. Just kind of both a little bit understated, and she doesn't have quite the leverage over him that she has over Kermit, so he can push back a little bit. But yeah, I thought that was a great duo too.
Yeah.
I think they've been a great duo in real Muppets things too, maybe. I feel or like he's been her toady a few times and like had to like do her bidding in a
Mm.
way that I think maybe we had some fun with back in the Muppet Show days too.
I've been craving some Muppet Show rewatches lately. Just
Yeah.
been like, I feel like I'm losing my reference points for things that
Yeah.
happen on the Muppet Show.
I wish I had made a list of all the episodes that I really enjoyed so that I wouldn't
Yeah.
accidentally click on one I didn't like. But when they're setting up this game, Skeeter is wanting to also play and be
Hmm.
Tarzana, Queen of the Jungle. But Scooter explains this is a line I thought was mean but funny. Scooter explains that the African Queen is a boat. And then Skeeter's like, a boat? Well, Piggy would be perfect for that. And then she goes, bye bye, and just swings away. Mostly it was just her being like, bye bye,
Yeah.
that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, she's like, I don't get to play, but I did get to drop a sick burn.
Yeah.
So bye.
Skeeter gets to do very little, but I feel like when she pops up, she is kind of the Grover where she is an adult in the
Mm.
body of a child who gets to say the like really out of line stuff.
Maybe when we don't see them, her and Rolf are just off having deep conversations about real life problems.
It seems like she has to hang out with Animal a lot,
She
which
does get stuck with Animal.
doesn't seem nice to me, but
Yeah. Well, Scooter says he's going to take the boat down the river to cool off. So Piggy goes with him. And I think the only thing that's weird about this sweet scenario is that we're not trying to solve the problem for all the babies. Like they eventually join the party,
yeah.
but like the kickoff of the idea isn't Scooter trying to solve the problem for the nursery. It's him
Yeah.
doing something sort of selfish for himself, and he's okay with Piggy coming along.
Sometimes it's okay to be a little selfish, Matt, but also I think they do hang a lampshade or whatever on this when Kermit and Fozzie are like, okay, let's just go play checkers. Like
Yeah.
that is like our tip off that the other babies have their own plans for how to cool down. And Skeeter wants to play. Just, Piggy's just bullying her out of being able to play.
Yeah.
And Gonzo goes and takes a bath. The only one who's kind of unaccounted. Oh, and Rolf goes into the closet. So they all are kind of like doing their own thing. And Animal probably doesn't care about. He could survive in like 500-degree weather. So he
Well, we
doesn't
also
really
get
care.
to see Animal next because
Right.
Piggy starts playing fetch with a crocodile in the river who turns out to be Animal in the real life. And I liked when Scooter asked, "How'd you teach him to play fetch?" And Piggy goes, "Well, I was bored. He was bored. Eh."
Yeah,
Like,
I
that's
think
the whole explanation.
this episode is like well written, I think.
Yeah,
It's
agreed.
funny.
Kermit and Fozzie are playing checkers, seemingly referencing some characters that I don't know because I
Yeah,
haven't seen African
exactly.
Queen.
No, I have seen it, but I don't even know if they're from that movie.
Yeah, I don't know either. There's a lot of some of the voices of the aliens I knew were references to something
Yeah, right.
in the episode, but I didn't know what that was. This was the same way where Kermit's character just kept saying no over and over, like that's the
Yeah.
only word he could ever say, and I'm like, that's got to be from something.
I feel like it says something about this show that you can't be bothered to look it up when that is what you love to do so much.
It's not that I can't be bothered; it's that I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah,
Sometimes
you don't have enough. It's like
character that only says no. I don't know.
actor with funny voice.
Yeah, kind of gangster, but not the other gangster guy that I usually look up. A different gangster
The
guy.
other one, yeah, right.
I need sound Google is what I need. Like
Mhm.
reverse sound Google where I could
Yeah.
just like upload a clip of Muppet Babies and be like, who's this guy sound like?
Or just a very old person. You could ask, who is this supposed to be?
To be fair, that's maybe what I should just actually do.
Yeah.
Well, they're going down the river and they start to hear a weird howler monkey who turns out to be Gonzo taking a hot bath.
Weird. I guess
Yep.
Gonzo's weird, so that's fine.
But then Gonzo suddenly gets dressed up and says, "Hey guys, we got to go to Casabarca because somebody in the writers' room
Casabarca.
is a big Humphrey Bogart fan."
They were
apparently.
having a movie marathon or something. Casabarca. I rewinded that one a bunch and tried to figure out what he was saying, but that makes
Casabarca.
sense. Yes.
Yeah, I'm getting maybe Lois Becker and Mark Stratton, young love,
Yeah.
watching some Humphrey Bogart movies, and they're like, "Wow, we should
The
write more of
romantic
these."
ones. Yeah.
Yeah,
Rolf's Place could have worked too instead of Casabarca, but
that's not enough of a pun though.
or Rolf's American Cafe or whatever. Is that what
Yeah,
it's
you
called?
gotta have a bark in there somewhere.
Yeah, you're right.
As they pull up, Skeeter says, "Let's go cool off," and Gonzo says, "Yeah, we're ready." And Scooter says, "Yeah, you can say that again, Sam."
Yeah, whatever, dude.
It's almost a play on a misquote
Right.
of Casablanca.
Oh, yeah, it's even less so than I thought was originally thinking because it is "Play it again, Sam," which also isn't what's said or something like
Correct. He
that?
says, "Play it, Sam."
Yeah.
And then the Woody Allen movie is "Played Again, Sam," but also like that is the misquote that many people attribute to Casablanca. So
Yeah.
this is a reference to the misquote, which that I'm fine with if it
R
was good. But to
right.
say like, yeah, you can say that again, Sam. I feel like the other babies should just be like, wait, slow down. Who in this equation is Sam? Because Skeeter said, let's go cool off. Gonzo responded and said, yeah, we're ready. That
Yeah.
should have been the end of the conversation.
Yeah, I can picture, like, that is Scooter's whole life is Skeeter just being, like, totally picking apart every single thing he says in that way.
And just sometimes just shaking her head. They're like, really, dude? Again?
I'm so cool, what went wrong with you?
Well, speaking of cool, we are thrown into a song called Keep Your Cool after they go into Casablanca and meet Rolf, who, of course, leads us directly into a song.
Yeah, which is in this situation, totally fine, and it is really cool that Rolf just went and sat in the pantry and didn't tell anybody that that's what he was doing.
I guess, yeah, there's a lot of different selfish behaviors maybe happening.
Yeah, they're
Like,
all
Rolf
cooling
just
down in their
knew
own
where to
way.
go to cool
Mhm.
off and didn't tell anyone.
And then when the problem is as big as the air conditioner's broken, I think it shows a lot of growth on Scooter's part that he didn't try to go fix it.
The chorus of this song, though, Jesus, sounds like a Casio keyboard falling down the stairs
I
and like
liked
hitting all the built-in song buttons on the
yeah.
way down.
The whole thing does because there's, like, the calypso beat and then there's, like, the
Mm-hmm.
jazz or, like, yeah, the jazz track.
And there's not like a smooth transition between the two. It just jumps
No.
from one to the other.
I liked this song, it just had really unfortunate staging
Yeah.
and character design.
Yeah. There are multiple characters in sort of stereotypical African garb with bones in their hair and
Yeah.
masks. Well, Piggy invites everyone aboard the African Queen to attempt to cool down after they finish their real world lemonade. But they
Right.
apparently
This
Nanny
is
came in at
not
some point.
pee. Nanny did say in the beginning of the episode, "I'm gonna bring you kids lemonade."
She did.
Yeah, and that's not pee. It's not Nanny's pee either.
That ain't pee.
No.
Yeah. Nanny doesn't wink and say, I made it myself.
And then all the babies look at each other weird. No.
Well, this goes on for a while, and Gonzo sort of gets them lost as he's supposed to be taking them to a cooler place
It
on a
sort of
map.
spins its wheels at this point.
Yeah. But then he is suddenly in a chair and wishes out loud for cool air, and a man's voice cries out, okay, little buddy, if it's cold air you want, if cold air you get.
Yeah, that's weird because when I was watching it, I assumed the guy who fixed the air conditioner would come up and say, "Your air conditioner's fixed," and we'd be like, "Oh, it was him." But that actually I just imagined that happens. That doesn't actually happen.
No, the kids are like, cold air is happening. And they move the chair, and there's a vent behind the chair, and they're like, we found the cold spot. This must be the cold spot in the house. And Nanny comes over and is like, guys, go back to the nursery. It's cold in there now, too.
Yeah.
She does not say, because a man came and fixed the air conditioning.
They forgot all that part.
It's very strange that she doesn't reference the air conditioner is fixed
Yeah.
at all. She just says, like, you're fine. Go back to the nursery.
Right.
But the episode does sweetly wrap up with Piggy saying, hey, Scooter, how does that movie end? And he's like, so actually they get married. And Piggy's like, well, do you mind if we're just friends instead? And Scooter's like, yeah, that sounds nice.
Friend zoned. This was Scooter's.
think-
big plan was like, at the end of this, Piggy's going to want to marry me instead.
I was hoping that Scooter would lean in a bit. One thing I do know about African Queen is that like Charlie, the character, is a little bit like off-putting at first and a little bit like mean at times. And I was kind of hoping we get a little bit of Scooter trying to act
a little
like
more
Humphrey
rough.
Bogart a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
Not at all, though. He's a sweetie. He can't be mean.
But the episode itself was very sweet. Some very good dialogue mixed in there. But we don't get a go bye-bye at the end of this one, unfortunately for us. Well, in the last episode that we're talking about this week and that exists in season 5 is Bug Busting Babies from December 3rd, written by Hank Soroyan. And, it kicked off, and I was pretty hopeful, knowing that what Muppet Wiki described it as was a Ghostbusters homage. I will say I didn't love this one.
Oh, this was like maybe my second favorite Muppet Babies episode.
Interesting.
I think how much you like moonlighting really influences how much you like this
Which,
episode.
having never seen Moonlighting, is 0.
Yeah.
I will say, though, as much as it's easy to say, like, I didn't love this episode for me, when comparing it back to, like, season 1 episodes, I would rather watch this 10 times in a row
Absolutely.
than most season 1 episodes.
It's a different, like, this is a different show now, I feel like. It took them 5 seasons to have 4 good episodes in a season, but it is fine now. This is not a show that I despise anymore.
Yeah. Well, it opens up with Scooter almost falling to his death as a window washer in Manhattan. But then Gonzo tells him, look out, there's a meteor headed right for us. Which turns out to be in the real world. Gonzo and Scooter playing a video game, and Skeeter throwing a giant beach ball at them.
I'm really interested to know. So the video game he's playing is a spy video game. And he says, first you have to be a window washer and that's like the first stage to becoming a spy, is that you are being a window washer. And then at the end, Gonzo's like, what's the next level? You're a janitor. I'm really curious what game they're thinking of when they're writing this, because that feels so much like a modern, like, Grand Theft Auto type game where like your dad would walk in and you'd be like power washing a sidewalk or something like that, and you'd be like, oh yeah, this is one of the missions to get like a rocket launcher. Your dad would be like, you're doing a game about doing chores? That's so stupid. And that seems like such a modern thing. Or like playing The Sims where you're like, I'm doing the dishes. But I wonder what game it is that where it's like you're doing something really boring like that. It just seemed like so specific that somebody who plays video games must have written that part, I feel like.
Yeah, because I think it does sound more interesting than games that actually existed at that point. Like,
Yeah, totally that. Yeah.
There was a 1984 game for the Commodore 64 called Memory Manor, where you play Wee Willie, the window cleaner, whose task it is to clean the windows of a house, and at the same time, you have to take notice of the inhabitants' wishes.
What?
So you're trying to clean a house, but some people don't want their windows cleaned, and some do.
Huh.
But there's not like another layer of, and you're a spy.
Right.
But in what you were just describing of it, what's even better about that is that the first step to becoming a spy is being a window washer. But it has taken Scooter 7 hours to get to this point.
Too. It took me, I can't reset my computer. It took me 7 hours to get here. And also, you could save your game even back then on a computer, I think. But
do you think he's just really bad at the game?
No.
Or does it actually take 7 hours to beat that part?
It's some kind of commentary on video games that seems really ahead of its time, but I'm not enough of a video game historian to know
same.
what people were playing back then. I mean, there's Dragon Quest and RPGs, so that could be part of it. Is I've been grinding for hours to get to the next part of this game.
Yeah. Suddenly, the buildings start to disappear and glitch out on Scooter's computer. Rolf, ahead of his time, suggests turning it off and back on again.
Yeah, that's always been the solution to every electronic issue.
But Scooter, this is when he reveals it took him 7 hours to get this far, and the game isn't saved, so he'd have to play that 7 hours all over again.
We've all been there too.
Oh yeah, mostly for me, I feel like that happens more in like Photoshop than it does on video games.
Yeah, that's true.
Where I'm like, oh no, I've been working for 45 minutes in this Photoshop doc. I see the little spinning wheel, and I'm like, I am pretty sure I haven't saved this.
But as a child, there was surely a game that you like paused and left on for hours and hours, right?
Oh yeah, the worst. Oh my god, you just give me a flashback, Sam. I'll try to be not too emotional during this, but I had in my bedroom 2 light switches.
Okay. Oh no.
One light switch controlled the lights. One light switch controlled everything else.
All the outlets in your room.
Correct. And so there was multiple times in my life of playing video games where I'd be in the middle of something and someone would come in thinking they were going to turn the lights on, but instead would turn the video game off.
No.
And so whether it was my Crash Bandicoots or my Madden 95s or whatever it was, things would just be lost. to the ether.
You needed to put like tape over it or something.
I wasn't smart enough, Sam.
I solved all your problems.
With one piece of tape.
So, looking at games that came out the couple years before, there are a lot of point and click adventure games like Leisure Suit Larry or some Douglas Adams games.
That's what Scooter should have been playing.
Yeah, that's probably what he was like. He had to pretend it was a spy game, but he was washing windows to look at the naked ladies inside.
That's the
for-
game that
for-
Rolf is playing whenever all the other babies go to sleep.
Yeah. Rolf. Rolf was playing the porno games. That's right. Maniac Mansion. So computer games had progressed pretty far at this point. So I got to imagine it was like a point and click game where you're doing something stupid.
Well, while Scooter and Gonzo start checking all the wires and the connections to make sure everything is good to go, Skeeter is watching some snowboarding on TV.
Hell yeah.
And we get to see the moment that Kermit the Frog gets to learn what snowboarding is. We've all been waiting for it. We've all been wondering when that happens.
That's
and
such a
now we
funny
know.
part, too. Everything else is presented as if you should know what it is in the entire show and in the world in general. And in
Well,
this
we
part,
talked about
it's like,
this with Nick, I think, in that episode where they had a whole like skateboarding montage.
yeah,
And it felt like, oh, this is a little bit like ahead of its time, but they weren't calling a lot of attention to it or being like,
Yeah.
have you heard of
That's-
skateboarding?
yeah.
And this definitely feels like, have you heard of snowboarding? It's like skateboarding and skiing had a baby. But the
Looks
weirdest
like they
thing,
called it snurfing up until around this time also. So maybe they were trying to
Wow.
rebrand. They were trying to
I-
rebrand some stuff.
they went the wrong direction.
Yeah.
I want to be an Olympic snurfer.
Yeah.
Well, the only reason we see Skeeter watching snowboarding is so that a news report can once again interrupt their TV watching, this time to say that computer bugs are eating computer databases.
Yes. This is the best boomer kind of guy tries to write what computers are like thing. Because obviously he means computer viruses, right?
Well, yeah, but you could say, I've heard computer bug before.
I got a bug. I guess
Yeah.
so. But a bug to me is usually built into the software, a problem.
Right,
built
there's
into
bugs
the
in
software.
the program, yeah.
But he's like, scientists are baffled. These bugs are destroying all computers.
Yeah, it does sound like it's a virus in this. Like, if it's newsworthy
Yeah.
that there is a bug going around eating databases,
Yeah.
that's a virus.
It's like something you'd hear in the background of like Fallout or something, where like there's going to be a nuclear apocalypse by the end of it.
Mhm. Well, Kermit and Skeeter go tell Scooter the bad news. Skeeter says, the reporter said the bugs eat the computer's brains until they're sick and stupid.
Not something that the reporter said at all.
No, but it's very funny.
What a great thing for Skeeter to say.
Fozzie suggests, hey, what if we take the computer to the hospital? And so they take the computer under a sheet into the hospital. Suddenly the computer is a she. They keep...
Yeah, that's a weird way to just make fun of Piggy, I guess. But
I mean, I think it leads to one of the
Ultimately.
best jokes, though.
Which
Because
is?
so Kermit's like the nurse at the front counter when they bring the computer in. And they're like, she can't seem to remember anything. And she keeps coming up with weird numbers. And so Kermit goes to check on Piggy first instead of the computer. And at the end of that, Kermit says, why didn't you say anything? And Piggy's response is, I kind of like the attention, okay?
Yeah, that was pretty good. I like that too.
It's those moments, like the moments we like are the
Yeah.
ones that we like, they jump out and we're like, that's not very Muppet Babies,
No,
but it is
they-
good.
Yeah, they step out of the baby thing, and
Mhm.
yeah,
Well, we go in to the hospital sort of operating room area, and we see Fozzie come in as the doctor, wearing springy eye glasses and just in general being insufferable. I guess
he's being kind of Fozzie like in a way that I feel like baby Fozzie isn't always Fozzie like. He's being comedian guy,
yeah,
and not just a loser.
But this worked for me once I found out why he was doing it.
Yeah, me
Because
too.
at first I'm like, this is gonna suck, but then Dr. Rolf comes in and
They
reveals,
were so close, right?
You're right. They could have. I'm Dr. Bob.
Surely
Like,
they
"You're
had to
Rolf."
have that
He's like,
conversation.
Well, that's
Right?
what, when they went to the hospital and they're like, oh, we're gonna go back here. I'm like, oh, it'd be great if Rolf is Dr. Bob in this scene.
Yeah, it's moments like
Almost.
this where it's like, did they watch the Muppets? Are they familiar with the Muppets at all?
Right, because you make the choice to make Rolf the doctor, which feels like you know about Dr. Bob,
Yeah.
but then you don't have him play Dr. Bob in any way. He doesn't even do wordplay. So why is he the doctor?
And I would imagine the kids watching have seen reruns of the Muppet Show and would have a passing familiarity with Dr. Bob. And if they
Yeah.
just call him Dr. Bob, also no one's gonna really be like,
No.
That's Rolf, though. I'm gonna write a letter.
But yeah, we learned from Dr. Rolf that Fozzie is actually just a sick comedian and not a real doctor.
Yeah.
He just wandered away from his room. And that's not a bad twist in an episode of a show where you don't often get twists.
Where nothing. Yeah, where everything is so straightforward. Yeah, you're right.
Piggy suggests we don't need a doctor for this computer. What we need is a detective. And so then we see Piggy in what she calls the city that doesn't take a nap, in what I must imagine is a pretty good homage to Moonlighting.
It was spot on. Her hairstyle was perfect. The way she was acting was perfect. Sybil Shepherd.
How about Gonzo?
Gonzo was amazing. That's what made me
Okay.
watch Moonlighting again, because Gonzo was
Gotcha.
doing such a good job being Bruce Willis that I was like, I gotta see real Bruce Willis act like this.
When
'Cause,
he's
yeah.
like, "Hey, Bacon, what's shaking?" I was like,
Oh,
"What's
mwah.
happening here? This
It was
is
perfect.
something feels like I don't know what's happening, but that
Yeah.
this must be something."
The guy who wrote this episode cannot shut up about Moonlighting in real life. I'm so sure. But yeah, it was perfect. But one thing that stood out to me is this is another moment where Piggy's hair is done in a way where you can see her ear attached to her head again, just like when she was a baby in a previous episode, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
It's really weird looking. But yeah, it was perfect. And Skeeter being the receptionist who rhymes was really good too.
So that's a real thing from Moonlighting?
Yeah, their receptionist, and like
Okay.
at the beginning of every episode, picks up the phone and she's like, "Blue Moon Investigations will solve your case. We'll what rhymes with case? We'll shoot you with mace. It's just about time to solve some crime." But they're usually better than that and go on for a really long time.
I would hope so. Well, around 11 minutes in is when we get our first Bug Busters mention.
Again, I will say there's been several episodes where they do not mention the thing that the title of the thing is about. So 11 minutes is very acceptable to me.
This was purely one of those, because I looked at Muppet Wiki first.
Oh, okay.
And Muppet Wiki says this is a Ghostbusters episode.
Oh, you knew it was coming.
No, I was more hoping the whole thing would be a
Right.
Ghostbusters episode. And so when
Gotcha.
we're halfway through and we haven't even mentioned Bugbusters yet, I'm like, guys, I don't think this is a Ghostbusters episode.
They get to it so circuitously. That's the one. That I can't even really picture how this like links up in my mind. But for some reason, this one does feel like babies playing and like fun kids yes-anding each other to this conclusion in a way that didn't irritate me, that there's so much moonlighting in the middle of it. But yeah, I missed the moonlighting when it was gone, frankly.
Well, yeah, we get a Bugbusters theme song sequence, which is a pretty good song and a pretty good animated sequence as well.
Yeah, it's cool.
I feel like there's a lot of fun, like, character designs, both
And
of
the car
bugs.
is designed fun and like going really crazy. Like this one's just crazy and something's happening throughout all of it. Something
Yeah.
bonkers is happening.
It looks like an animated intro for its own show.
Yeah. And it's like actually a parody of a song. It's like competently done. Everything in this episode is pretty competently done in a way that's deeply unexpected.
I don't want to harp on Muppet Wiki too much, but there's a line on Muppet Wiki that says this episode marks one of the few times an animated human adult is depicted in full frame.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
In this case, on the newscast near the beginning. And that's just not true. It's
I
like
think
50-50 when we watch Muppet Babies, where we see full adults.
I think what's being said there is in the real world, not in a dream sequence.
Oh,
And that is true, I think.
Okay. You know what? I apologize, Muppet Wiki.
That should be Muppet Wiki. That should be added to that sentence, which we could do, I suppose. But yes, I think they mean this is one of the only times you see a human being in a non-fantasy.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is probably true. Okay. And then the other ones are probably also just on TV that they're watching. So
Right. Right. And there's another full frame human family in this episode during the Bugbuster sequence.
Well, and when I saw that in this episode on the notes, I was paying attention to it in the other 3 episodes we watched. I'm like, there are a bunch of humans.
Right.
But that makes more sense that it's more of the outside the imagination sequences.
Right.
Like in the same world as Nanny, we are
Yes.
seeing an adult's face.
A human, an adult's face. That is
Yeah.
the thing that's weird, I think.
Gotcha. That makes more sense. Well, they need to recruit some other bug busters to make this plan work. And at this point, I was kind of forgetting what the plan was.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But ultimately, it is to make the computer better. I like to think, too, like the real world equivalent of this, because at a certain point, Scooter wanders into the moonlighting detective agency. And I think that's when Gonzo decides to like turn it into bug busters.
Yeah.
But I wonder how long they were playing around with the wires and connections before Gonzo walked away to go play moonlighting. And Scooter was like, I need to go check on Gonzo and see what he's doing. He was helping me with the wires, and then he just walked away for some reason.
I'm noticing so this part they're bringing the gang back together, like the gang of ex bug busters.
Mm-hmm.
Ghostbusters 2, the plot of that movie is that didn't come out till next year. Interesting.
Dan Aykroyd was just watching this being like, hey,
that might be where he got the
good
idea.
ideas, fellas.
I've been trying to crack this story for years.
Well, as they recruit the others, they find their very short order cook, Kermit, who's working in a diner just off Sesame Street. And they also find Fozzie, who is just getting kicked out of a comedy club, I guess, for being such a bad comic that they throw him out.
Yeah, just he's really bad.
So they decide they're going to mail themselves to Computer City, basically troning themselves into Scooter's computer.
Yeah.
A thing they have done multiple times before, actually.
Yep. They've gotten in easier ways, I think, than this, but yeah.
Yeah, in this one, they get in and they start, for a while, just spend some time driving around in a pretend van.
A long time doing that.
It's surprisingly long how long they're in that pretend van.
Including a whole thing where they like get a new van and they have to explain why they're getting a new van when really it's just like, you guys are imagining this. You could have been in the van the entire time.
Yeah, it starts to feel less and less like Ghostbusters as we get more and more into the cool car and the computer thing.
It feels kind of like a video game, like Grand Theft Auto, where you're like, okay, time to drive through here and upgrade my vehicle.
I did like that the place they go to upgrade their vehicle is a drive-through called Floppy Joe's Disc Drive-Through.
Clown themed for some reason too.
Well, I think it's order into the clown's mouth.
Oh,
this is like a robot clown.
A robot clown, yeah. That was fun.
And yeah, Scooter realizes you can order whatever you want because computers can only do what you tell them. And he has this epiphany moment, but nobody else notices. And Scooter can't do anything about it because he keeps trying to tell the babies, like, hey guys, we're good. Yeah. We solved this one. We can stop imagining. And Gonzo just keeps telling him to shut up, essentially.
We can stop having fun now.
So instead of stopping, they go find a giant bug in an office building. And not much really happens except they Ghostbuster it and end up capturing a real bug in the real world in a jar.
Yeah, maybe we should have seen this bug at one other point in the episode.
Maybe Gonzo just had it in his pocket this whole time. He just holds on to bugs like that.
That makes sense. So I suppose he could do that. Also, they could have seen the bug on the computer.
Yes.
And Scooter could have said, oh, computer bugs. I bet my computer has a bug. And they didn't have to watch the newsman say, bugs are destroying the world.
No, Gonzo should have seen that because Scooter, we learn, is immediately too smart. Because both Scooter and Nanny are like, you guys are idiots. That's not that kind of bug.
Yeah, right. I forgot Scooter was actually a genius.
Yeah. Scooter tells the kids the beach ball messed up his computer when it hit the keyboard. Because apparently this advanced spy video game has a secret code that will turn off the keyboard and make the game look like this, all glitchy and weird, so that the other spies don't know what you're doing.
Sure, I could see that being like an Easter egg in a game.
Yeah, I feel like not in 1988, though.
Maybe not.
I don't know.
I like when Skeeter first hits the computer with the beach ball. She's like, that was not my fault.
Well, that's, there's like a nice little beat where that happens. She's kind of like, it's not a big deal. And then the computer starts glitching out. And before anyone even gets accused,
yeah, right.
Skeeter is like bobbling around on top of the beach ball, and she's like, "Well, it wasn't my fault."
Didn't do it. Yeah, and Scooter's like, "Nobody said it was your fault."
But it turns out to be her fault.
It was her fault. Yeah.
And this is the part where Scooter says he gets to play the final level now, where Gonzo jokes, "What do you get to be now, a janitor?" And Scooter responds, "How did you know?"
Just weirdly trenchant commentary on chore-based video games.
I mean, also the idea that the entire first part of this game
For 7 hours of it
is window washing spy, and then the final level is janitor. There's only one level of janitor.
You got to get the sequel, I guess, to be the actual spy.
So Nanny is going to take the Beetle outside and says something like, "You'll be happier outside, won't you, Mr. Beetle?" And the kids are all like, "Mr. Beetle?" And Gonzo says, "Gee, and Nanny knows everybody in this neighborhood." Which,
very fun.
yeah, it's fun, but it's weird and doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Doesn't tie into anything.
No. But I did like that. Again, feels like sort of a real little kid thing to say. Like, I feel like I could see myself calling something like, "Oh, hey, Mr. Beetle," and a kid being like, "Why'd you call that thing Mr. Beetle?"
It also kind of seems like a Gonzo thing to say. I could see adult Gonzo being like, "Man, you know everybody."
Mm-hmm.
And that's the end of season 5.
That's the end of season 5. We did it.
Not the most torturous season all in all.
No, not that bad. Definitely has gotten better.
Yeah.
Last season was sort of a mess. Early seasons were bad.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're in the best we have seen, thankfully. And so hopefully it's all uphill from here.
It's clear that between every season, they kind of like regroup and they are like, okay, what worked? That's how I feel, at least. Like every season, they're kind of doubling down on the stuff that works.
Which I'm assuming in the age of, TV, where you're going off and writing a bunch of other 80s morning cartoons, and then you have to come back once a year to write some more Muppet Babies, you're probably going to have that conversation of, so what did we do last time?
That's true. They just forgot what they did last time. So, yeah. And I do think what you just said is interesting to me, because it does, like, when one guy was writing it, he probably was writing other shows, and I think we've looked it up that he was. Yeah. But it also is kind of like, there can be no growth when it's just this one guy. But we have growth now.
Yeah, it seems like the team, which is maybe just 2 married couples and a guy, seem like they're doing a good job.
I think
I'm looking forward to seeing more.
Married couples was the secret sauce.
I do want it to be known, when I say I'm looking forward to seeing more, if I had the choice to not watch Muppet Babies, I would probably choose to not watch Muppet Babies. But I put myself in this position where I have to watch Muppet Babies.
I can get myself now in the position where I'm seeing, like, the interesting production parts of it, where before it was just like they're just doing the same thing over and over again. But
we
now
talked about that
like,
a little bit in person yesterday, actually, of having Nick on the podcast was super helpful, because when Nick was talking about Muppet Babies, he was giving it like a level of respect that we normally do not.
Right.
Of, talking about it from the production side of things, or like trying to consider the writers and stuff. And we're usually just like, boo, these little babies pissing on themselves suck.
Yeah.
So I think there is something about having that conversation with Nick that does help me think about these things in a little bit of a different way.
To take a step back from, to think about the people making it and what they have to do to make it.
And, I also sometimes just go, man, I really hope they don't listen to this.
Much respect to you. We know what it's like to be in production to some degree, not to the degree you do probably, but
we also know that we're not the age you are writing this show for.
Yeah, right.
So like 2, 37-year-old men reviewing a show for 7-year-olds.
But
of course we don't love it.
But we are the age that they were when they were writing the show.
Yeah, probably. But if we had to write a baby show right now, it wouldn't necessarily be our level of humor.
Yeah,
we'd be writing down a little bit. So
right, and people would watch it and say, "This is stupid."
Well, we've got a long time until we're talking about Muppet Babies again, so we can enjoy some Sesame Street and some Jim Henson Hour and some other fun stuff along the way.
Yep, I'm pumped for Jim Henson Hour, but mostly just to see if it's a train wreck or not.
Yeah, we'll find out. But for now, Sam, it's time for me to ask, what non-Muppet things did you enjoy this week?
You know what? I burned through Daredevil Born Again season 1. Did you watch
Hmm.
this?
I have not. I haven't actually seen the old Daredevil.
I only watched the first 2 seasons. I didn't watch season 3, and I didn't watch Punisher, and I didn't watch Echo, but it was good. I liked it. A lot of of stuff has been written about how like they kind of like made it 3 different times, or like it's based on 3 different
Mm,
versions of this show that are
right.
all stitched together. And you can definitely tell it's not a perfect show, but to
Yeah.
me these characters, these Marvel characters, my ideal world would be animated television series about these characters, adult oriented animated television series about these characters with animated movies, because then you could have the characters forever. You wouldn't have to be like, Robert Downey Jr. is ready to stop being Iron Man, so we're going to kill Iron Man. Besides the point, these characters a lot of them do best in a serialized long form format like this. I think
Mm.
Daredevil especially does, because it's so like mob based and stuff like that. But it was not perfect, but it felt like a real TV show, which often with Marvel things is not a goal that they hit, in my opinion. Um, like I'm the rare person who did not like the last season of Loki, because just didn't think it made any sense. Like, couldn't make heads or tails of a lot of it.
As you're saying that, I'm realizing I never watched it.
Yeah, this is just like too cosmic for me. But this
Mm.
one is fun. It's silly on purpose way, and silly in a not on purpose way. Like Vincent D'Onofrio is just so goofy, and I think he knows what he's doing, but
Mm.
he's really good at being weird and totally off-putting. And yeah, Punisher's on it. He kills a lot of guys. That's really fucking
Makes
cool.
sense.
And I love when Punisher's killing guys and Daredevil is like, "Stop killing guys," while they're beating guys up, and he's like, "Please stop shooting at everybody," and Punisher's like, "No." But they're at the end, Daredevil is just like, "Well, you're still my friend, even though you have some problems." And it's just like fun and stupid, and I would actually recommend it, because I had a good time with it. And I didn't watch a lot of the old series or rewatch it to remind myself anything about it, and I still enjoyed it. So yeah,
Yeah, I think the
Daredevil.
only one of those old series I watched was Jessica Jones.
You didn't watch any Daredevil?
No.
Oh, Daredevil was pretty good.
Yeah. No, I never watched any of that. Yeah, the more you talked about the Loki thing, I'm like, I think Doctor Strange burned me on the MCU a little bit. Like, I disliked that Doctor Strange movie.
Multiverse of
One,
Madness.
yeah, one just
Oh,
as a movie, I didn't love it, but also I think when I realized that there wasn't just one explanation for the
oh,
multiverses being
there's like
created.
5 at this point.
Yeah, like with Loki and Doctor Strange and Deadpool Wolverine, like there's all these things that feel like they're supposed to be connected,
Mm-hmm.
but then when they explain it, they over explain it in ways where
Right.
you're like, oh, so this actually isn't the same multi-dimensional splitting off point. How
Yeah.
can that possibly be
Even though this
true?
is the same like entity that monitors these things, they're explaining a
Yeah.
completely different way of this
Right.
happening.
The
Yeah.
TVA isn't like, oh shit, we've got so much going on right now. This is
Right.
complicated.
Yeah.
And so I think like I really liked the first season of Loki and I was okay with where this multiverse thing was going. And so No Way Home is a movie I liked,
Mm-hmm.
but when it was revealed in that movie that that time thing was not the same time thing as the other time things or
Yeah.
whatever, I was like, oh, I kind of hate that. And so
Yeah.
then
I
Doctor
agree.
Strange, I was hoping would like follow up on that and maybe tie some things together, but
Mm-hmm.
instead they were just like, nope, whole new one,
Whole new one
actually.
with characters and references to other shows that also have references in those shows to things that are the other way of explaining it.
Yeah, right. Precisely.
And
And
Endgame also
so,
has its own whole thing that's the other
yes.
time thing. That's such an easy one to just be like, this is all Endgame's fault.
Yeah.
Why not just say that? And then the
So,
Kang thing is just a whole other fucked up
yeah.
thing.
And so that's
Yeah.
really, I think, really like why I haven't seen that Ant-Man or why I didn't watch the other season of Loki and stuff is because
Did you see the new
they,
Captain America movie?
no.
Yeah, me either. I'm just gonna
Be,
wait till the Doom thing. I'm gonna wait till Fantastic Four comes out. I'm just gonna start there again.
well, that's the thing is like it's hard for me to even care about the ones that I would normally be interested in because I'm like these all felt like I could follow where everything was going. I knew
Yeah.
why people cared about other people or like when they got connected and stuff, and it all
Yeah.
felt like it was driving to a big thing. And so like Infinity War and Endgame felt like this big payoff to like whatever 10 years of storytelling.
Right.
Now it feels like there's like 8 different universes that
Yeah.
they're trying to tell me are still connected, but don't actually feel connected in any way.
Yeah.
So for them to suddenly jump in and say like, oh yeah, here's how, I'm like, okay, but only Thunderbolts and some of your TV shows get to be a part of that universe, but
Yeah.
we don't remember these other ones. The Eternals don't get to be around. Like Shang-Chi doesn't get to be around. Like, it's very strange.
And it's like kind of like real comic books where when the big event happens, you can read that and figure out what the actually important stuff leading up to it was, and then go
Mhm.
read those. And then
Yeah.
after the event, it's like we're just paying attention to this part. But that's like not the funnest part of comic books, really. So
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is like either just split it all off and go back to like we want to do a Spider-Man movie that's not thinking about Doctor Doom.
right.
But that's not what they keep doing. They keep doing
No.
this like little bit of like these 5 movies are all interconnected.
Yeah.
Don't think about that one too hard. Like looking at the phases, which
Mhm.
are less concrete than they used to be, it feels like.
Right.
But like phase 4 was the one that clearly in the middle of it, I was like, I think I'm done, guys.
Yeah.
Because that was Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, No Way Home, Doctor Strange, Thor Love and Thunder, and then Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
I have not seen Wakanda Forever, a movie which I am sure I would like because those other ones burned me so bad.
Right.
But I have not seen anything except for Deadpool and Wolverine that has come out since Thor Love and Thunder.
She-Hulk's pretty good.
TV, I did watch She-Hulk. She-Hulk, good.
Werewolf by Night's pretty
Movie-wise,
good.
though, I didn't watch Ant-Man and Quantumania. I didn't watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Didn't see the Marvels.
You
Didn't
didn't
see
watch
the new Captain
Guardians
America.
3?
No.
To me, Guardians 3 is the actual end of the Marvel movie universe. You should watch that one.
Again, Sam, I am sure I would like it. I've heard the Marvels is good. I've heard like
Yeah, it's all right.
terrible things about Quantumania. But like
I like
to me,
Quantumania,
it's just
okay.
weird to like look back on a version of me that existed what, 4 or 5 years ago at least,
You know
who
what, Matt?
saw every single second of every single Marvel TV show and movie.
I would say that that's kind of what Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is about. It's about looking
Ooh.
back on that past version of yourself. And
But the problem with my brain, Sam, is I can't watch Guardians until I watch everything that came out before Guardians that I haven't seen. I know.
Nothing else ties into it. It's okay.
I know you're right.
You can watch Guardians 3, Matt. You should watch it. It's really, really, it's probably my favorite Marvel movie.
I'll try.
Okay, what did you watch?
Well, I have not yet watched all of Marvel.
It sucks that Marvel's turned into Star Wars, where bringing it up is like
It sucks that Star Wars turned into Star Wars.
Yeah, that too.
Man, Star Wars was so simple and clean and nice, and then it just had to go and Rise of Skywalker over everything.
Yeah, that's right.
But I watched night 1 of WrestleMania last night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Everyone's mad at wrestling right now. What's going on?
Basically they had a wild PR week.
Okay, that's what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone was just out saying the most wild, dumb shit they could possibly say before the biggest weekend of the year. And it's like, what are you guys doing? Like Roman Reigns came out and was like, I voted for Trump because he's a competent leader. And everyone's like, we liked you, dude.
You didn't have to say
What are you doing?
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and also, it is very hard to be, it's not hard. Reckoning with being a wrestling fan is quite difficult
With
when
the McMahons in the mix.
the McMahons and by extension the Triple H's and all these people who are
Yeah.
like legitimately friends with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And like the Secretary of Education is a McMahon. So like yeah, it's a weird fucking world. None of these people at the top are good people.
No.
And there are some good people who are amongst the wrestlers who do their best to put good messages out there in the world. But it is, I do not watch it as much as I used to, both because it got less interesting to me, but also specifically because it is hard for me to watch it without feeling bad about myself.
Right.
So like I used to watch at least a thing a month from them, if not more. And now it's like every few months I'll check in. A WrestleMania I'll definitely watch once a year, but it is they are losing me.
I feel wrestling goes through these phases where it's like one
Mm,
of the most important things in culture, and
yeah.
all of the weirdos like it, and it's like hip, and then it becomes like only dirtbags like this. So then I'm sure
Yeah.
surely it will go back to maybe once the McMahons stop being around, it maybe will go back to this is the counterculture weird sports thing people
I mean,
like.
that honestly, last year it was kind of at that peak again
Right. That
because
sounds
The
right.
Rock got back involved.
Yes.
And to be
Okay.
fair, he's still involved this year a little bit, but he was
Mhm.
much more involved last year. And
Mhm.
so there was a lot more of like regular TV was discussing wrestling and discussing The Rock being a part of it. And so that's not happening quite as much this year, but it's a little bit there with John Cena because he became a bad guy this year, which he has
Right.
never been a bad guy. So that is sort of the story of this year. But yeah, definitely not in that, Stone Cold Steve Austin era where you see everyone wearing the shirts as you walk around town.
Mhm.
Well, we got to let you know what we're watching next time because next time on the podcast, we get to check in on our old Sesame Street gang once again as we sort of stay in the same time period of November 1988 and discuss season 20 of Sesame Street. Very, for me, appropriately timed season because this is the season where Luis and Maria find out they are going to have a baby.
Hey, just like you.
And we're going to watch the season finale where they have their baby. But yeah, I'll actually be going on parental leave just like probably a few weeks after this episode about Sesame Street comes out.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, extremely well timed. So we got to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Go to commitment.com for all commitment needs. If you'd like to get in touch, you can email us at mail@commitment.com or find us on social media at commitmentpod or at commitment.com on Blue Sky. You can also follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.